Ugh.
Hello, fermented folks. We have P. Jelly Clark, all Makatsu. We have Travis Baldry.
Today we have a really special guest, Leopoldo Gout.
Are you reeling it in and defending clowns?
I am. Earth doesn't even exist in Battlestar Galactica.
This show me heartburn. I was like, I loves it. I hate it.
It's called All Fluff.
Oh!
If you didn't know how I actually feel about The Mandalorian,
Don't worry.
this is it right here. Oh, hello, fermented folks, and welcome to another episode of Fermented Fiction, the show where we debate the best movies, books, and shows in the genre fiction realm with our distinguished guests while drinking the fermented beverages of our choice. And tonight, that guest is Micah Knapp, my friend and fellow filmmaker from the Seattle area. Micah, thanks for coming on the show, man. How you doing?
Doing great. Thanks so much for having me. I've been meaning to for a long time, so we're finally making it happen.
It's really going down. And Micah, I know, is a real big fan of Spielberg, but I genuinely don't know how he feels about Jurassic Park. It can be a polarizing movie, and that will be our debate topic tonight, especially if you happen to be a book cloak. You might have feelings about this movie. But we're not going to get into that just yet. We always start this show with a round of personal updates and an introduction of our guests, so we will end with that. Micah, first we'll go around and talk to all these bozos. Let's start with Colin, because he doesn't make it to the show all the time anymore, and part of that is because of that beautiful baby boy screaming in his arms. Colin, how are you and Arthur doing?
He was really into this copy of Jurassic Park a second ago. And Mom is in the background making a bunch of faces to keep him entertained.
Nice. The whole gang is here. I'm so glad to have the family, the Pointed family, all in on the show tonight. So how's everything going, Colin? What you been up to?
I have been working hard at Seattle Children's Hospital and taking care of this little guy, and did a trip to Portland, and that was last week. And it's been amazing weather. It's like Southern California here, which is kind of crazy.
It's so nice right now.
It's insane. Like, I had to bring all the patio furniture out. I was trying to decide if it was Northwest fake spring yet, which is always what happens. You get all the patio furniture out, and then like 2 days later, it pours rain for literally 2 weeks.
Yeah. Hope you like your furniture moldy. That's what fake spring does.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true, though. My friend from Boston came out here for Crypticon that we just finished last weekend, and I'm sure one of us will steal that as a personal update. Whoever I choose, I guess. I get to choose who goes, and I will see if that person takes the high road or the low. But my friend from Boston came out, and she was like, "Oh my gosh, it's so nice out here. I thought it was going to be like, hello." First appearance on Fermented Fiction. The whole Pointed family.
Wave.
The whole family.
Good to see you. We haven't seen you since we used to invade your basement or invade your attic every week.
Yeah.
This place is high.
Arthur seems like a fan of the cover art. Maybe he likes the Jurassic Park cover art, you know?
I mean,
Yeah, it likes the taste of the pages too.
Yeah.
That's funny. I was just talking to her full conversation, and I realized she does not have the headphones. Goodbye.
Yeah. No clue.
That's what we do on Fermented Fiction. Clay makes himself look stupid, and the rest of us try to put on a good show. We're going to continue to do that. Colin, thanks for the update, brother. Travis, let's see if you take the high road. You're a high road kind of guy. Sometimes.
I don't know
taking
what
the
the
high
high
road?
road is, but if the high road is not talking about Crypticon, then yes, I'm taking the high road.
Hell yeah.
So if you've never tried to pull a full K through 10th grade play together in 2 weeks
Jesus. Dude, why?
to celebrate
Love
the
this.
American bicentennial, I
Let's
don't
go.
recommend it. I want to die.
K through
Yeah.
how old?
Stream it, baby. I want to see the stream.
10th
I want
grade.
the stream too. I want the live stream.
This was,
We
this
we
was
went
in
with,
2 weeks.
Listen. We went with a like sort of, I'd call
That's
it
what he
like
tells the kids.
like a wax
Listen,
museum.
listen.
Listen.
Listen, everybody
We
focus
went
up.
with kind of a wax
Kenny.
museum idea. So the kids, like the little kids, are up there in the costumes, being the characters, like John Adams, Benjamin Franklin, and all that.
Sure.
While the
Adorable.
older kids sit at a podium and read the lines from a script because they couldn't be bothered to try and memorize it in 2 weeks. Because another challenge to this is, have you ever tried to force people to be in a play that they didn't audition for? It doesn't work.
Doesn't work.
So that's my update. Is Friday I'm going to have a strong drink because the play will be
Sure.
over and I will have survived, hopefully, without getting fired. So here we are.
That's a bananas ass story, brother.
Jesus, dude.
Yeah, I mean, you can barely get actors who are narcissists like and did audition to learn all their lines. So, like,
Learn
trying
your
to get
lines,
people to-
everyone.
Trying to get
The
people
other
who
day-
didn't even want to be in the play. That's a whole move.
The other day, like halfway through, I think it was yesterday. See, they're all blending together.
Sure.
I got to my wit's end with my upper schoolers, and I literally just looked over at them and yelled, like, "You want me to grade this? I will.
I'll grade it.
And they were like,
This could be your
they're like,
final.
no, and I was like, I can make it that. Like, we can do this right now, and you all have Fs. Like, sit down and shut up.
This just
So
became
they're
English
like-
class, motherfuckers.
Oh God, we broke Mr. Vermellum.
It's coming together. All like it's hard, but it's the little kids are cute, and cuteness will trump any of the problems we have with.
I mean, I'm going to call it right now. Someone and the faculty is going to thank you profusely
Mhm.
and then sign you up for next year.
oh
Yeah.
100%.
yeah,
You're already
For
set.
sure
You don't even
doing
have
it
to do
because
good.
you already
prepared.
didn't hand in
I'm-
your resignation.
yeah. I'm prepared. I'm prepared for that already.
They're going to listen
know.
to this podcast and hear what you had to say about it.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
hope not.
Well, then they'll just know your sanity's intact. Oh,
Yeah.
show
It won't slow
everybody
them
your
down.
shirt too, because you have a sick ass shirt on that I got you.
Clay bought me this in Hawaii.
Look at that thing.
Nice.
The joke.
Excellent.
The rooster.
Has anyone been to Kauai on the stream? Anybody? So it's funny there.
Yes.
You've been there, Jeremy, to Kauai.
Hmm.
That island is crazy because the story I heard, and I have not done any research or corroborated this, but the evidence is there. There was a massive like chicken farm, and then like a hurricane hit, and all the chickens got free, and so now Kauai is just infested with wild chickens. They're everywhere. Like you've never seen anything like it. They are walking around like the patios of every Airbnb. They're on the street. There's like little broods of hens and chicks and roosters guarding them literally everywhere on the island. They've completely taken it over.
Wow.
So yeah, that little Kauai chicken, I was like, this is too good. And it is. It's a whole different world over there. There's chickens everywhere. It's
I
pretty
find that-
hilarious.
The shirt's even more funny to me too, because I don't like AI, but there was this meme that went around a while ago of like dinosaurs in the background silhouetted, and they're like modern day counterparts, and it was like this dramatic music, and it'd be like the rhinoceros, and it'd be the triceratops would be like, I used to be powerful, and now I'm just this, and it gets to the T-Rex. And it's like, remember
Just a
who
chicken.
you are, and it's just a chicken.
Absolutely.
So I think of that.
Absolutely. But hey, we can all harken back to a better day and remember when we weren't chickens.
Yeah.
Perhaps. Like
Maybe.
we might have all been Bigfoots once. Who knows? Jeremy,
Hey,
what's your
I will.
personal update? You can do Crypticon if you want. If you don't, I
that's
will.
good. I was never going to take the high road.
I know. I know.
He's wearing a cross and he's not on that high road.
Exactly. Exactly. Colin gets it, you see? But no,
Colin understands.
just spent the weekend in Seattle for Crypticon, where we did our live show, and then I watched and had help with Travis really trying to stress test my Z-biotics at the after party.
I did. I stress tested the hell out of those things.
Yeah, you
Mhm.
did. God, you were so close to doing a lot of Toby Keith at karaoke.
Oh, I'm still recovering from. I'm profuse anxiety. For the last 2 days, all I've thought is, I was an ass. People hate me.
No. You weren't an ass. You were honestly very sweet,
Yeah.
as far as topic guys go.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I do stand by my statement that there's a better way to phrase your question than what is your philosophical quandary, but maybe we can ask that. I know that that's
definitely
what you want to get to the heart of, but
Listen,
if you want the answer to that question, you have to phrase it in a way that people understand.
nine Jello shots. Travis is not thinking of that.
I know, and he's not hearing any feedback on it either.
No.
It was hilarious though. It was hilarious. For context, everybody, Travis, one of the things 9 Jello shots Travis was doing was walking up to everybody and just being like, "What's your philosophical quandary?"
Dang it, I left you
And it was
early.
awesome. I know. Yeah, you missed
Get
it.
some
Oh
exactly.
man, shirt
It was awesome.
idea. 9 of those Jello shots around some sort of picture of Travis blasted,
Ooh.
and then
That's a
that
good shirt
phrase.
idea. And then just what's your philosophical quandary? I do love that.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's good. That's
Was
what
there
worth
some
writing down.
Was there
Jeff
some good
C-
reactions for people?
I'll shout out Jeff C. Carter.
Jeff's about it.
He fully leaned into that shit, and it was awesome.
Hell yes.
We had a whole discussion about how, if we were to fix the social problems of the world, would we lose what we think we are as humans? Like, would that entirely change our identity because the fix was so drastic? So that was his philosophical quandary. It was great.
That's great. Jeff's always down to lean into a philosophical quandary discussion. He's like a podcaster all the way through. He just can't even turn it off. When he was like hanging out in our room later and we were debating the most important historical Americans, he was still like just moderating our extremely drunken conversation that was just really stupid. Whereas Nick and Tibbs were like, "Nope,
We're gone.
we're out of here."
We're out.
Don't need to listen to people scream at each other about George Washington. Totally fair. Totally fair. There's a time and a place to listen to that. For my personal update, I'm just going to do this for the last time. My new 2 books are out. Jeremy, I see you've
Nice.
expanded your collection. I appreciate that.
Mine's
So
in my
this is the newest Crypticon anthology. How sweet does that look? I'm really excited about this cover
Sick.
because it's from
Who made that?
Chad Shares. Chad Shares, and he did Garbage Pail Kids.
Nice.
So if you've ever heard of those, this is him.
That's badass. I love that cover.
That's really cool. And then the
So
back's a little tombstone with
Ooh,
all the
that's
like,
just as good. Wow, the back and the front.
yeah, it's
That's
sweet.
What's the second?
So-
What's the second book?
The second book is the sequel to Crevasse.
Nice.
So this is my second book in the Voices from the Cold trilogy. And yeah, there it is. It's got
There's a
little-
review of it on Meathead Media that I stand by completely. And anyone who knows Clayton and I's relationship, if I didn't like Karen, I would tell him.
He
I
would.
read that post.
But
It was very good.
I
Shout out to
fucking
Meathead.
loved Karen. It was really good.
Thank you, Travis. Yeah, I'm very proud of Karen. It's my favorite thing I've written ever. Which, you know, your latest book should be your favorite book, but this is genuinely the best thing I've written. And I've been working on it for like 3 years. So if you like rock climbing and adventure, isolation horror, definitely go check it out. You can even read it without reading the first one, but I do recommend reading the first one. It's a novella, so it's like 85 pages. You can read it in one day. But yeah,
That's
go check it out. Dark Forest Press, baby. Thanks, J.W. Donnelly, for taking a punt on my series. And I wrote on the 3rd book today. And that was really, really fun. I haven't
hell
opened
yeah.
that since October of last year because I had so many edits to do, Karen, and so many other things. I kind of got demotivated to write the 3rd book for a bit. But after Crypticon, I'm feeling very inspired again. And I was thrilled to learn that I have written 8,000 pages on that thing. Or not pages. It'd be
Sweet
done.
Jesus.
It'd be done. I have written 8,000 words. So I had a solid start, like a 3-chapter start. And I thought I had like 1 chapter. So that was a relief. But anyway, that's my personal update. I'm officially working on book 3. As of today, I got back into it and it was really exciting. Micah, what's up with you? Who are you? And what do you do? And thanks for being on the show.
Who am I? That's the existential question, right?
It is. And what is your philosophical quandary?
That's a long conversation. Yes. Yes. Thanks for having me. I'm a writer, producer, and director. I work at Filmabee Studios in Seattle, which Clay is also a part of. I don't know if you've mentioned that on the show or not.
Mm-hmm. Yep, I have.
Yeah, and I've been working in the industry a long time, and I have a lot of projects in the works right now. That's why it's hard to know where to start. But basically, we're developing 2 features right now, and early stages, and then we have a slate of 4 films, and a few of these are nearing their end, and so they're going out into the world soon. So we're looking for distribution, for investments, and so I'm in this sort of post-production and pre-production stage of filmmaking. And I've also got a feature documentary that I directed called Kid with the Movie Camera, and it's sort of about my upbringing in evangelical fundamentalist Christianity and how I used a camera and filmmaking to understand that world and document my life in it. So it's just hundreds of hours or thousands of hours of old footage that I went through to build this film. And so it's a mixture of recreation scenes and animation and interviews and old footage. And so it's right now it's in post. So we're scoring and doing sound design right now. So it's getting close, but it's been a long time in the making. So that's mainly what I've been focusing on top of lots of other projects as well.
Have you read Hellbent by Brian Recker?
I haven't, no, but is that something I should check out?
I love giving recommendations. It's a flaw of mine or a plus. I don't know. Anyway, it's a very well-written deconstruction from that same evangelical fundamentalists. He's a very funny writer, and he does a good job at that. Just reminded me of, but yeah, Hellbent by Brian Recker is pretty solid read for that same kind of like deconstruction out of evangelical fundamentalism. I enjoyed the way he wrote it, his style.
I'll have to check that out. I appreciate that. I guess I should also say that I also run a podcast called Exodus Brothers that's also about just that. My brother and I just work on telling stories of deconstruction and people that have left high control, cult-like religious environments. So very different from this podcast, but you know,
ever so
this is more fun. This is slightly more fun, you know?
Yeah. We're trying to create a low control cult-like environment. Sorry, go ahead.
Low control.
I appreciate that. Yeah.
Did you do what the kids are doing these days and running through streaming as you run through the Scientology offices and throwing it up on TikTok? Is that how you do with the evangelicals?
I try to be a little more subtle. I did see that clip though, but I can't say
speed run, Scientology speed run.
Yeah.
We'll look for the speed run for today's modern audience and the TikTok people. Until that time, I'm sure your podcast is great just the way it is, Micah. And let's move on into what we do on this podcast, which is debate shit. We're going to debate the shit tonight, which is Jurassic Park. That's Steven Spielberg's 1993 adaptation of the Michael Crichton novel by the same name. If you've never watched Jurassic Park, I don't know how you pulled that off, but good on you. Good on you. You are an elusive viewer.
What's
that, Micah?
I don't think I could talk to that person. I wouldn't understand how you couldn't have seen that film by now.
No. Then it's a good thing I watched that before doing this. That'd be weird otherwise.
Jeremy, was this the first
That's
time?
Wild, Jeremy. That is wild.
This is your first time?
Wow.
Oh, yes. And you never forget your first time.
You don't, especially when it was like yesterday.
Quote David Tennant from Fright Night. You popped your cherry.
Oh, yeah.
Crazy. That's wild.
I popped my dinosaur frog monster cherry.
Let's go.
It was great.
To quote not Michael Jackson, Randy Jackson. Damn.
There we go.
And let's just move on from there then. Jeremy, that's fantastic, and I'm sure we'll talk about that more. So if you're like Jeremy, except for the part where you have to watch a show for this podcast and you've never seen this movie.
If you're like most of yesterday me,
Yes, most of yesterday, Jeremy, or anybody else in that realm. The premise of Jurassic Park is a man named Hammond flies a helicopter out to an a paleontological dig site to talk to Alan Grant, who is one of the world's leading paleontologists, and he offers him this really high-paying gig to come to his private island and check out a theme park that he's doing. Alan Grant is understandably skeptical, as is his partner in the paleontology world, Ellie. They're both kind of like, I don't know about that. It sounds weird, but he's paying so much money that they kind of decide to go, just expecting it to be a sort of gimmicky dinosaur themed park of some kind. They also go because John Hammond, this rich man who's flown a helicopter right onto their dig site and blown sand all over their freshly excavated dinosaurs, has been funding their digs for years. So they go, and one of the first things they see at this park is real ass fucking dinosaurs, and they're like, holy shit. This is a whole different deal than we thought it was going to be. They realize they have come to Jurassic Park, the not so aptly named park where they have brought dinosaurs back to life and intend to open it up to the public as soon as possible because John Hammond loves to entertain the children of the world. And that's your premise. Alan Grant and Ellie, who I'm forgetting her last name. What is Ellie's last name?
Sattler.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Dr. Sattler. Yes, thank you so much. And a few other scientists from around the world, including Ian Malcolm, who is a renowned philosopher of sorts, psychologist of sorts,
Scientist, mathematician, chaos theory specialist.
Yeah, I call him.
Gentleman. I don't know.
He's known as a mathematician. That's like why he's there technically, his field of expertise. But he's really more of a like philosopher kind of character. And his philosophy is chaos theory. And he, Sattler, and Grant are all kind of tasked with the mission of touring the park and letting Hammond know if they have any reservations or if they have any feedback. They're essentially a critique group for Jurassic Park. Now, this is a park with giant dinosaurs, and one IT guy running the entire park because why
And a lawyer.
not? Yes, there's a lawyer and a PR guy and a single hunter, and then some nameless workers that sort of all just seem to leave the park around the time that they hold this tour, and that's Jurassic Park, baby. We don't need to talk about it too much more, but sorry, what, Micah?
It sounds like the setup to a joke.
It does.
Yeah. A mathematician, a lawyer, and whoever else walks into a bar, right?
Yeah, a chaos theorist, two paleontologists, a mathematician, and a billionaire walk into a theme park. What's going to happen?
What's the
Right.
punchline?
Let's find out. We're going to roll dice. The punchline is we have to debate this movie, which is beloved by many and probably hated by many as well, especially those who read the book because they are quite different in a lot of ways. But we aren't going to talk about that anymore because first we have to debate it. Representing Fermented Fiction is my talkative ass, and representing Micah, the rest of the Fermented Realm is Micah Knapp. Travis is going to roll for Micah because he doesn't have a dice, and we'll be using our high-risk, high-reward dice. I'm going to roll for myself because I do have a dice. Whoever rolls high is going to defend Jurassic Park and start the 10-minute debate. Whoever rolls low will debate against it.
Let's do it.
Oh shoot! Don't eat that.
Travis, what have you done?
11.
11.
Oh, okay, 1 sec. So I got to re-roll my dog almost ate the dice.
Okay.
I got a 3.
First one was a 20 for sure.
Yeah, I don't know what it was.
I was gonna say re-roll it unless only re-roll it unless it's a 20.
All right.
Or a 1. Keep the 1.
That means I am going to defend Jurassic Park. I will start the debate. Micah is going to go against it, no matter what he actually thinks. And we'll tell you what we actually think after the debate. But for now, this is the best fucking movie of all time. Let's go.
Colin, Jeremy, get out of here. Turn your cameras off. Turn your microphones off.
Fine.
We got 10 minutes on the
guys.
timer. I will start the timer, and then I will kick my own ass off of here. Clayton is for. Micah, you're against. Hits below the belt are encouraged. 3, 2, 1. Clayton, begin.
All right.
Most overrated film of all time.
A little bit of a hit below the belt coming right out of the gate. I appreciate that, Micah. I mean, that's one way to say it if you're super jelly and not very well informed. But this movie is absolutely amazing, and there's a reason that it's a classic to this day. There's a reason that somebody like Jeremy, who hasn't seen this movie yet, is certainly an anomaly, because this movie, in ways that no other movie have really even since, I don't think, captured the hearts and minds of everybody who watched it, adults all the way down to kids. It's riding that perfect like unicorn line that every studio wishes they could find, of like hitting the perfect market where it's like, yes, not only do kids eat this shit alive, but so do their parents, because Jurassic Park truly has something for everybody. It's a well-written movie. It has a really fast-paced plot. It has dinosaurs in it, which are cool. Kids just intrinsically seem to love dinosaurs. I loved them when I was a kid. Every little boy I've ever met, every little girl I've ever met likes dinosaurs to some degree. They're just like kind of fucking cool. And there's this cultural zeitgeist, cultural osmosis that happens where there's like these beings that once lived on this planet that we like. There's something about the fact that they used to actually exist that maybe separates them from a lot of fantasy creatures, but they have that same same aura of mystery. They have that same intrigue, and I think this movie does a really good job of capturing that intrigue on film. Not to mention the things it did from a technical aspect. This was a masterclass of early CGI combined with practical effects that to this day still look pretty freaking good. Look a lot better than modern CGI films sometimes. And that's really damn impressive, especially considering what Spielberg was working with back in the day. That's not to mention the A-list cast, the excellent performances, or, you know, just the all-around badassness of this movie. But I mean, Micah, you can pretend there's anything wrong with it now if you like. We all know you're lying.
Pretend or get into it. Yeah, I feel like this is a film where you can feel Spielberg constantly manipulating the audience. He's constantly telling you how to feel, when to feel awe or fear or horror, and it feels very controlled as opposed to letting it naturally progress. I think you mentioned the writing. I think the writing is atrocious. It's Grant's arc, for instance, is extremely simplistic. You essentially have a guy who doesn't like kids who learns to like kids, and that's his arc in my view. Characters like Ellie or Sattler are very much underused, I should say. She's basically there to support, and there's not much internal conflict or complexity to her character whatsoever. And of course, she's, you know, one of the few female roles in the film. I'd say Jeff Goldblum's charisma carries the role, but the writing itself is kind of cringy, to be honest, and a little corny. I think people look at the special effects in the movie, but they don't take a look at the writing, or the dialogue, which is pretty bad overall. I'd say the character development in general doesn't allow the characters to change much from the beginning to the end of the film. And I find the science to be a bit nonsensical. It's simplistic in a lot of ways, but it's presented as this sort of grounded sci-fi, but to me it feels more like fantasy. And I'd also say that the book is much better and much more subtle. I'll give you an example. So Hammond's character is I think in the movie he's very softened. He's likable in a sense, when really he should be grounding the capitalist narrative that's kind of underneath the movie, which is about corporate greed. And I feel like in the book that hit it much better. And I think that Jaws is a much better example of storytelling, character development, and just the script in general. It also builds into the horror more. It's like what you don't see is more interesting than what you see. Whereas Jurassic Park starts that way, but kind of gets rid of that about halfway through, and really turns into more of a survival action film. And I think it loses all of that subtlety that I mentioned earlier. And by the end, all it is a special effects romp. Yeah, the special effects are fun for its time, but to me, the characters aren't memorable whatsoever.
It's funny that you say you really like the book and you also try to say that the dialogue isn't good, because the dialogue is mostly lifted right out of the book, with the exception of Hammond. Hammond's dialogue is largely different because he is a very different character. But I think you always have to approach the book and the movie as two different entities. They're two different creative projects. When you write a book, that's the author gets to dictate very much the 90 percentile of their world, with a little touch from the editor and a little bit from the publisher. But I don't even know how much of that there was for when Michael Crichton wrote Jurassic Park, because he was very prolific in the time period that he wrote that book. I genuinely don't know. But I imagine less than a lot of other authors have. So I think it was very much his idea right on the page, where, you put it in a film, then it's getting filtered through the lens of your camera guys, your lighting people, your special effects, your set deck, your guys who have to run the Jeeps, like everything, right? And that, your argument about Jaws, like, he would have made Jaws like this if he fucking could have, but the shark didn't work. So he ended up having the Jaws that he had. And Jaws would have been just like this, Micah, and probably worse, honestly, because dinosaurs are kind of cooler than sharks. Let's be real.
I agree with that, but I do think that, yes, he would have done it that way, but I think the movie is better because it had to be that way. And that happens with a lot of those early, I wouldn't say low budget, but low budget for these big directors at the time, where they had less to work with and more constraints. Yeah. It makes you more creative, and it makes it more. You have to do a workaround. You have to think of something that is creative, that is gonna sell it. And I think when you have all the money and all the time in the world, it's less interesting. You don't have to prove yourself as much. You don't have to fight for that element that you're then missing. So,
well, I just think that he did the same thing with Jurassic Park, though. I mean, I have to imagine there was some studio pressure to make the movie more relatable and make the arcs a little less subtle and make them a little more transparent. And therefore, you have the very obvious arc with Alan Grant and the kids, but I think the way they get there is really cool. I mean, the journey that he and the kids take through the backcountry of the park with no support, and his job becomes to literally protect them while other adults abandon them. Like, that's the first thing the PR guy does is, the T-Rex comes out and he's like, deuces, you fucking kids, I'm done. I'm not fucking with that T-Rex, and you guys can figure it out. And, he's classic. Like, you don't have to outrun the T-Rex. You just got to outrun the two kids that you're with. Good for you, bud. Survival mentality.
Those kids, though, same thing with the kids, is that they're really there just to be in peril, and they don't really have much development beyond that. They're there to be scared. And I see they're there for Grant to be protective and to have his transition, but not individually.
And they're there to represent the darker side of the Hammond character, who, softened up as he is still a fucking jackass. And the fact that he brought his kids there, that does underpin the capitalist narrative. I mean, it keeps it in there enough without losing the marketability of him being a friendly old man that Spielberg clearly had to put in this movie to make it more relatable to people. At least that's my impression of his changes to Hammond. I keep wanting to call him Hamlin. We were talking about Better Call Saul recently. Hammond. Yes. Another corporate suit, but Hamlin was actually a pretty good dude. Hammond, I think you do have to still be able to illustrate that part of his narrative, and I think the way they do that is through his interactions with some of his employees, and the fact that his grandkids are there in the first place, and his unwillingness to accept feedback.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. I think Richard Attenborough is just too likable, in my opinion. He's just his face is so likable. His delivery is so likable. Come on, yeah. And I believe in the book he's killed, right, by the little creatures, the little dinosaurs. I can't remember what they're called. They're in Lost World.
I can't either, but yeah, they were a big deal.
The Dilophosaurs?
Yeah, maybe.
Was that it?
I can't remember. They're way bigger. They're huge in the book because they're the first dinosaur in the book that escapes, and then they're big in Lost World because they take that the first scene of Lost World is actually the first scene of the Jurassic Park book.
Oh, right, that's right. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So you can't really deny the special effects, but you can't, on the same hand, deny some of the corny, dated moments, like the '90s scene of is it Lex is the girl?
Yeah.
where she's on the computer and the databases and like you know it's just, every time
Hacker girl.
gets me every time. Hacker girl, yeah, and the sound effects too, just in that scene, make it.
All
That's
right,
fair.
debate over.
Oh,
Well
hey,
done.
oh.
Well done. You did a good job talking about
Drink of the week.
Jurassic Park.
That was
Holy
terrible.
crap.
That was so hard to do that. I have to say.
Colin became a new person during the debate. He switched
did.
shirts. He switched shirts.
What were you trying to say, Micah?
Oh, am I able to
Never
reveal
go.
my true thoughts now, or are we waiting for that?
Not
Oh,
yet.
not yet.
Not
I
yet.
just-
You're gonna hold on to those. As far as I know,
got-
you still hate Jurassic Park.
Yeah, we got drink of the week first. and then we
Highly
got
overrated.
Mike is holding true. Clay, what are you drinking?
So, in honor of the one sacrificial goat in this movie, I got some Goat Boater IPA,
Nice.
which
There you
this
go,
is
man.
also a bit of a link to the book because they, again, something they stole from the book and put in a later movie is the pterodactyls, who are a very scary and huge part of the book. And the rafting scene, minus the Spinosaurus, the pterodactyls were enough, and the T-Rex. But that was also in the original Jurassic Park book. They had to, at one point, take a boat, and they were like, yeah, T-Rex is a swamp dinosaur. Of course it can swim. And so the T-Rex is like swimming after them, and there's a whole bunch of it. So they do some boating. There's a goat. That's what I got from Rainy Days in Bremerton. That's out here on the peninsula with me. I've featured them before. They really ought to sponsor us one of these days.
Which that
Yeah,
scene
come on,
is
guys. Get in
in
on this.
Jurassic Park 3, which I stand by is actually a decent movie despite the one raptor saying Alan scene.
You got to get past that.
You got to get past
That was
that,
it.
and it's actually
We
not.
might have to debate that one sometime.
Oh yeah, I'm not a fan.
Wasn't that in a dream?
I didn't mind Jurassic Park 3. I don't think it's great.
Well,
I had
we
fun.
got a lot of entries in this property to get through. So
Oh
yeah,
my
yeah,
word,
come
yes,
on,
we
man.
do. They're
Yes.
We're
all
not
been-
doing.
They've been my
franchising.
plane movies the last.
Get in the
last-
comments. One Jurassic Park a year.
That's our new
One a
Hitchhiker
year.
guy.
We're about to run out of Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy,
know.
so we need something. Come
Colin.
on, guys.
What are you drinking? I saw you pour that. You were
Hell
advertising
yeah.
it,
So a
buddy.
local distillery. This is Skip Rock Distillers, Washington State vodka distilled from grown premium potatoes.
Potatoes.
What's
Potatoes.
taters, precious?
What's taters, eh?
You know, I
Boil
thought
them,
we might
pick 'em,
go a
mash
whole
'em.
episode without a Lord of the Rings reference, but nope.
Nope.
Hey,
This
If
is
it makes you feel better, I didn't bring it up.
That's true.
this vodka is delicious. It's local. Snohomish specifically is where Skip Rock Distillers is, and they have a tasting room that's amazing.
Nice.
And I'm mixing it with Capri Sun Pacific Cooler.
Oh,
Atta boy.
that's the college trick, man. You
'Cause I'm a
except
child.
see, you did it in a glass. Back in college, we would just cut the top off the Capri Sun and fucking get that.
That's also a Burger King Gandalf goblet.
Oh my gosh! Okay.
Nice,
Love
dude.
that. I love that. Okay. Well,
Okay.
Jeremy, what you got?
Haven't been to an episode for a while. You had to bring the heat.
Yeah, gotta bring the heat.
Capri Sun vodka. I don't advocate heavy drinking on this show, but if you are a person who does heavy drink, Capri
Look,
Sun
if you
vodka,
gotta get the job done,
pretty solid.
It's
don't
only like
fucking
10
do it.
grams of sugar. That's pretty good.
yeah.
I mean, hey.
Hey, Travis. So what I've got going on here, due to the shout outs to Montana and the speculation on the internet that what is in Ian Malcolm's flask is whiskey, I've decided to go with this Jim Bridger single barrel strength whiskey done into a cola old fashioned, because let's have some fun. Let's have some fun here, guys.
I can't not see the Jim Bridger label without thinking of Inglourious Bastards in the. I'm a descendant of the mountain man, Jim Bridger.
That's fair.
Great line. Clay, what'd you got?
Fantastic.
You already got me. I got goat boater.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
Sorry. It's
Rhoda
me.
voted goat.
It's me, and then it's Micah. I also think that in the flask was whiskey, but I went with a different kind of whiskey. I went with the Scotch.
Sure.
which
Because you
is
have it left
closer-
over.
Is closer to Sam Neill's home. Okay.
There you
But
go.
also, like Clay says, I bought this for our live stage interview with Matt Dinneman, which we'll be releasing. Go watch it when it does. And we
It
drank
looks
it
empty now.
on stage. It's this. I'm polishing it off tonight.
It's
Yeah.
incredible it survived crypto.
I got about down to here during that night, which is what Jeremy is referencing when he says, I really put his Z-biotics to the test.
I know. I woke up the next day being like, man, I feel awful, but I should feel way worse.
Yeah. Z-biotics does not sponsor us, but they could.
They could.
Yeah.
You hear that,
Get in here, you
Z-Biotics?
cowards.
Give us a shout.
The first
Micah,
one's for free.
do you have
Yes,
a drink?
I do. So I'm not as exciting as you guys. It's non-alcoholic. Oh, an Olipop. Have you guys had these before?
No.
Yes.
See, I've seen them. I have not had them.
It's like a prebiotic drink, basically, but it's like a soda, like a soda
nice.
pop.
No.
And
Right.
It's ginger ale, so super good
Nice.
for your stomach, right?
I feel like
Oh,
Adam
yeah.
Guerrero drinks ginger ale. For sure.
Oh, yeah.
For sure.
Oh,
Absolutely.
yeah.
All right, that brings us to fermented facts. Again, people, I have 10. I actually added during the debate an 11th extra bonus one
Oh,
because
shit.
I just want to clarify one thing that kept getting mentioned. But that's because I'm snobby. So there's an extra bonus question to clarify something that was mentioned a lot in the debate. But there's 10. So if I missed one, because there's a lot of facts about this movie because it's been around for a while.
Yeah.
If I missed one, please jump in there at the end. These were my 10 favorites that I could find. Number 1 is kind of a double. The T-Rex occasionally malfunctioned due to rain. Producer Kathleen Kennedy, which is the double part because Kathleen Kennedy, also a famous director, produced this movie, which is cool. Recalls the T-Rex went into the heebie-jeebies sometimes, scared the crap out of us. We'd be eating lunch and all of a sudden the T-Rex would come alive. At first we didn't know what was happening and then we realized it was rain. You'd hear people start screaming. So that's terrifying. This one was probably, if I had to rank my, oh no, never mind. Favorites coming later. But this movie, much like how Top Gun spiked interest in joining the naval pilot program, this movie actually showed a significant interest peak in paleontology, which had waned since the space race. So during the whole space race and atomic age thing, people had lost interest in like excavation of archaeology and paleontology because they were looking up to the stars, obviously. And then Jurassic Park came out, and they actually, Dr. Nate Smith of the Natural History Museum's Dinosaur Institute says he saw a actual quantifiable peak in paleontologist interest and new discoveries of dinosaur bones because of this movie, which is really cool. Universal Pictures paid Michael Crichton $2 million for the rights of the novel before it was even published. So he finished the novel.
Wow.
It wasn't even published before they bought the rights to it.
Wow.
When Michael Crichton was asked why the novel has Jurassic in the title and has a dinosaur from the Cretaceous period on the cover, he replied, it never occurred to him. It just looked better as a cover design. So I liked that.
Hammond would have said the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. 100%.
We had a comment. We had a comment from Booze Cruiser, my friend Zebediah, who helps us with a lot of fermented fiction stuff, and he said the same thing. It should be called Cretaceous Park, having a T-Rex, but whatever.
Doesn't sound as cool.
Yeah, it doesn't sound as cool. John Williams, famous John Williams, who has done, I believe, every single Spielberg movie since Jaws, which is insane. Scored the movie at the end of February 1993 and recorded it a month later. He felt he needed to write pieces that would convey a sense of awe and fascination, given it dealt with the overwhelming happiness and excitement that would emerge from seeing living dinosaurs. And I think he got it. This soundtrack is iconic. I don't think anyone I know of doesn't recognize the like do 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 that's heard.
Mhm.
Like
Right.
that's such a that and like Superman are soundtracks that everyone will know forever.
Mhm.
Oh, this is my favorite. So if I could rank any of my 10, this is my number one because we have a personal connection to it, Clayton. After making this movie, Ariana Richards, who played the granddaughter, developed a great interest in dinosaurs and assisted Jack Horner, paleontologist advisor for this movie, and the inspiration for the character of Dr. Grant on
Shout
an
out.
actual dinosaur dig in Montana the following summer. I don't know if this was the dig, but the personal connection Clayton and I have is Jack Horner, during one of his digs, actually excavated several fossils on our grandmother's farm property where
Crazy.
she grew up in Valier, Montana. So if you
What?
go to
Wow.
Oh
if you
yeah.
go- if you go to the Rocky Mountain History Museum by Montana State University, several of the dinosaur fossils you find there will say discovered by Jack Horner in Valier, Montana. And if you see that on the plaque, that was on our grandmother's home farm, which is really cool.
Wow.
True
She
story.
like
Hell yeah.
she grew up. She told us she like grew up knowing Jack. Like he would come to dinner sometimes, like to take breaks, which is really cool. All right. Oh, this one is a good fact. Director Steven Spielberg oversaw the post-production of the movie via video link in Poland, filming
Yep.
Schindler's List. He called it
That's
one
wild.
of his hardest times as a filmmaker because he was making Schindler's List and was like deeply depressed with the historical stuff he was representing, and had to like carve out an hour of every day to talk about digital dinosaurs and answer questions from the special effects crew. And
Mhm.
according to him, that was like the most difficult hour to carve out because he's like, I'm making a movie about the Holocaust. Like, I don't want to talk about dinosaurs. Right
What a banger to make those two films back to back.
now. Oh,
Ah.
insane.
If that doesn't cement him as like one of the best filmmakers of all time, then I
That will
really
be-
just don't know what does.
My opening question about our for our panel will be about Spielberg and his status. This one's fun, except for some very brief glimpses in the opening scene. The adult velociraptors, cited as the most memorable dinosaurs in the movie, don't make an on-screen appearance until 1 hour and 43 minutes in.
That's pretty wild, actually. I
It is
didn't
wild.
even necessarily realize that. But yeah, I guess you see them feed the bull to them really early, but that's about it.
Yep.
Dinosaurs appear for 15 minutes
Yep.
of the film's 127-minute runtime.
Wow.
There is a lot of facts like that, and in like iconic movies that I think bear looking at again. Of like it, we've talked about this a lot with horror films. Of like it's often what's not seen that's the
Mhm.
scariest. But like the amount of screen time Jaws gets is low. The amount of screen time Hannibal Lecter got was very minuscule. King
Yeah.
Kong and Peter Jackson's King Kong doesn't show up until halfway through the film. There's a lot of movies where like the monster or the main thing that you remember as like the iconic thing is actually minimally seen. And I think it bears thinking about.
Indeed.
Steven Spielberg delayed the beginning of the film by several weeks to get the cast he wanted. He allowed Sir Richard Attenborough to finish post-production on Chaplin. And he also waited until Sir Sam Neill could finish Family Pictures. Neill ended up only having 1 weekend off between finishing that movie and starting this one. But we are so glad he did. At least I am. Final fact, which will lead into whether or not this movie was a success. Surprise to no one, it was. It was selected for preservation in the National Film Registry by the Library of Congress in 2018 for being culturally, historically, and aesthetically significant. And then my bonus fact is not necessarily a correction because, this movie is a comment on capitalism, but Michael Crichton has been quoted in saying it was specifically about the scientism branch that he was worried about with new discoveries in genetics and stuff. He wrote this book as a sort of warning for essentially what the line is of we didn't stop to ask why. We thought so much about if we could, we didn't ask should we. Which I'm not quoting that wrong, but that was the whole point of the book, was to talk about like these new developments in scientism put in the hands of people who could afford to take them as far as possible. He was a little scared about that, and I would say rightly so.
Good call, Mike. Good
So,
call, Mike.
call. Apparently no one read your book and listened, but hey, good call.
Nah,
As you can, should you? Is the question.
Yes, there it is.
Right, and Ian Malcolm asked it in the movie.
In the dinner scene.
But I mean, if you've read any Michael Crichton, he was very afraid of that. He wrote the Andromeda Strain around the same time. He wrote The Sphere around the same time, and both of those books talk about this a lot. But you can't really talk about one of those without talking about the capitalism that funds it. And I think that was. I just think you're right, though. You're definitely right, though, that his like primary topic of deconstruction there was wanting to go after the genetic engineering that was happening with this one specifically. And then you see that sort of capitalism through line in both Andromeda and The Sphere from different angles. But
Westworld as well. He didn't.
Yep.
Yeah, Westworld.
He was
too.
worried about. He wrote Jurassic Park, the book. Originally, his story was following the scientists cloning the dinosaurs. But then he decided that wasn't working and switched it to kind of a Westworld scenario of a theme park, which he didn't want to do because he had done it before.
Yeah.
But then it was so different that he just went for it.
Can someone check whether The Sphere or Jurassic Park was first? I have a fun fact.
All right, here we go.
Because
Sphere was afterwards. It was 1998.
Okay. He basically copy and pasted like the Ian Malcolm scene with the water droplet, where he's describing chaos theory, and he just puts that scene. He's the scientist is explaining a different thing to a different person, obviously, but it's literally like the exact same situation where he's like, "Can you explain that to me?" "Yes, I can explain it to you." And then he just goes off on this diatribe where he explains it to this person. And in the book, it was much, I would say, less flirtatious from Ian Malcolm and more like Ellie being like, "I don't understand chaos theory," and him being like, "Well, I can't allow that." And he just launched into this diatribe. But classic Ian Malcolm.
One last thing before we jump into true opinions with Micah. You get to go first because you went against. This was a success to no one's surprise, but I want to say the numbers for how big of a success it was. It had a budget of $63 million.
Oh my God, dude! The days when Jurassic Park was $63 million.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Its opening weekend was $47 million, so it was only like $20 million away from its whole budget in one weekend.
Yeah.
Wow.
And by the end of its run, it worldwide made $1,103 million. So it was insane how big this movie was.
To make a billion in the 90s,
Oh,
I mean, that's just bananas.
bananas.
Oh yeah.
I mean,
Micah.
just look at it's I mean, it has amazing lasting power now too. Obviously, I mean, look how many times you see people wearing Jurassic Park shirts and merchandise, and I mean, obviously there's the sequels, but I feel like the original has the craziest lasting power I've ever seen, and with the film. And yeah, that was hard for me because I felt pretty much opposite of everything I was debating there. Jurassic Park is like the most important movie to me because it's the movie that got me into filmmaking.
Yep.
So I fought to see it in theaters when I was a kid with my parents. They wouldn't let me see it in theaters. I was too young. And so I literally bought everything I could, like storybooks and action figures and the soundtrack before I saw the movie, just so I could like find out what the plot and story was. And then in my mind and imagination, like imagine what it would be like before I even saw it. And then I think I was 7 or 8 years old when I watched it. And literally by the end credits, I was like, I want to be a filmmaker. I want to be like Steven Spielberg. I want to be a director. It was like a light bulb moment for me. This movie to me is like the most important movie of all time in a way. I mean, I do
Yeah.
think it has flaws for sure. I think I don't think it's like a perfect movie, but it's an amazing movie. I think it's I don't have any of those critiques that I mentioned earlier. I feel the special effects in it have aged better than most films. In fact, I think it looks better than a lot of modern films. The
Me too.
CGI. I mean, I think part of that was the blending of animatronics and CG, so it wasn't fully CG. But even when you see the fully CG T-Rex, it still looks amazing. I'm still blown away by it.
I think we forced another writer on the show to, I think, argue against Lord of the Rings, which like made him a writer. So we did that to people.
I was kind of hoping to. I thought it would be a fun exercise because, you know, something that you love, like what are the flaws with it or what could you pick apart? But I play everything you were saying. I pretty much agree with. I mean, one of the most iconic scores. I think, there is some character and writing problems, but overall, I agree. I think, I actually think that Grant's arc actually works well with the kids
And
from beginning to end. And
sound design too, because Travis didn't mention it, but I think it's pretty obvious. Like, I remember seeing a documentary about the filming of Jurassic Park, and like the audio guys had like such an incredible task of like, how do you give sounds to something that's been extinct for 65 million plus years? And it's like they nailed it and like changed sound design and made dinosaurs sound what we think they sound like now. They did it in this film.
There's also there was a fun fact I almost threw on there of apparently during the T-Rex filming scenes, Steven Spielberg would just like roar into the megaphone, and Sam Neill's quoted as saying like it was actually harder to act because we were all trying not to laugh.
Of course.
Spielberg just be like,
he seems
That's
like a
how
kid
my
at heart.
Spielberg roars.
Yeah.
Nice.
I mean,
what else, Micah?
I mean, did I mention the score? Obviously, the score is like I think John Williams every time, right? Amazing. But like I can't remember who said it. If it was you, Travis, but just you can't not think of the score when you hear the movie.
Yep.
And I just think it was groundbreaking in pretty much every way, and the fact that it still is, I think, virtually as good as it was when it came out is a huge credit to the film and the detail they went into to make it. Because I feel like even looking at the Jurassic Park sequels, the special effects to me just don't hold up to the original. And obviously, I also feel the opposite in terms of the build into seeing the dinosaurs. Like I was saying earlier, I actually think it's great how little you see them. And and you said 15 minutes, I think, Colin, in the movie. I mean, that's pretty wild, but you feel it. And I think it's not the same as Jaws maybe, but it doesn't need to be the same as Jaws in that way. And I think the characters are all interesting. I think Jeff Goldblum is amazing. And, you know, I do think some of the dialogue occasionally is corny and some of the writing is, you know, a little corny, but it's part of the charm of it, in my view.
Yeah.
But I love the movie. I think it's amazing.
Clay?
Yeah. I mean, I didn't really have to lie. Jurassic Park's obviously an amazing movie. It's a foundational movie for me. For both of us, I think I can say pretty comfortably, Travis, as well. Yep. You know, I think there's some things that it's interesting. This is a good example of a book that you can't just book cloak your way through debating against it, which I still would have pretended to do. Because there are things about the book that I think are a lot better. Yep. I think the stakes are higher in the book. Hammond is a bigger asshole in the book, which drives home the thematic points of the story a little more thoroughly.
Yep. Muldoon doesn't die.
Muldoon doesn't actually die. That's the hunter, for those of you who don't know. But then Colin's clever girl shirt wouldn't be nearly as awesome. And, you know, that's okay. But
what about the ending, though? Because, like, I read the book and I was like, this ending is not as good as the movie.
I mean, I couldn't disagree more with that. I thought the ending was way better. I want Hammond to get eaten by those dinosaurs.
Firebombing the raptor nests?
Yeah, that's what they do. And honestly, that's like the more...
really should, yeah.
And honestly, you're also leaving out the part of the ending where a bunch of the dinosaurs got off the fucking island and just are going somewhere. So like they might firebomb the raptor nest, but to me, that leaves out what like what's eventually going to happen with the dinosaurs, which is them just becoming full-on animal companions for like our Parks and Rec druid character later in the show, later in the series. But what, honestly, most of this movie is really, really solid. I think it's interesting, like I was saying to the book cloak point, the ending, Hammond in general is toned down a lot, and he's kind of like this friendly grandpa character, which does undermine a little bit how fucked up it is that he put his kids in those cars in the first place and brought them to this island in the first place. There's a lot of like really great horror elements that Michael Crichton does a good job of weaving throughout, like evident problems with the park. That you don't have to be like an architect to notice. But like one of the first things they see when they get there, for example, is Sattler looks up and there's like a big like aviary cage over the whole resort, and she's like, what's going on with this thing? Why is this like this? There's wings that are shut down. There's like all these like kind of signifiers that things are not good. And Hammond's like veneer of everything is fine here doesn't last beyond like the first few steps on the island, and I think that was effective in the book. However, I will say that I think Spielberg did a really good job of, as cringy as the kid dialogue can be in the movie sometimes, those kids are nowhere near as cringy as they are in the book. They're fucking annoying in the book. Terrible characters. And Spielberg did a really good job of having two like good female characters, genuinely strong female characters in his story. One being the young granddaughter, by making her a bit older. In the book, Tim was like the only kid with a lot of agency, and the sister was actually younger, and she was a lot more annoying, and she was just always getting people into trouble, and that was really, really, I mean, oh my god, it's terrible, you guys. Her character in the book is so annoying, especially if you listen to the audiobook. But
I agree with
Tim
you on that one.
Yeah, and Tim gets all the agency. I liked how both of the kids had a lot of agency. They both had their own arcs. They were fully fleshed out characters in their own right, and that made Alan Grant's arc work a lot better. That said, I do think Sattler was a weaker character in the movie than in the book. Ian Malcolm was pretty much a carbon copy from the book to the movie. You could tell Spielberg liked that character a lot, and I mean, I feel like he's just got that side character that takes over the story energy, especially when you cast Jeff Goldblum as him. Like, the main characters didn't have a chance.
90s Jeff Goldblum.
90s Jeff Goldblum with the low cut V. Like, come on.
Yeah, that's a meme.
Just throwing around the crackle of his raw sexual energy.
Like, Jeff Goldblum to me is like, not at all the same, but like it's Mike Tyson energy where kids today are like, oh yeah, that guy, he's like just a guy, and I'm like, no, he was.
You don't understand the Jeff Goldblum. You don't understand my Jeff Goldblum, okay?
Look, if you Google image search him, the first image that comes up, I guarantee it, is him shirtless. Well, shirt unbuttoned.
It's better than being shirtless. It's like wearing fishnets, Like,
it's like
you've got enough concealment for some mystery, but enough visibility for some excitement.
And he's got blood on
Jeff
him.
Goldblum knew this. He knew this.
I feel like too, like I don't know about you guys, but when I watched that when I was younger, he wasn't the character that stood out to me. But as I've gotten older, he's become like my favorite character in the movie.
I think that if you grow up to be any kind of a creative or just any kind of person that feels like the most self-aware person in the room too often, then you're going to relate really hard to Ian Malcolm. He's kind of like the Iago of this whole Jurassic Park situation.
Except not a villain.
Except not a dick as much. And anyway, I think I've covered it pretty well. I think there's lots of places where the book was stronger, but for the most part, I think the movie was a great adaptation. And it was perfectly made to appeal to the audience that it wanted to appeal to. And for like a blockbuster movie, it is very rare that you see a movie this fucking good that does these kind of numbers and attracts all the audiences. Because I meant what I said there with like, if you had a kid they were so jacked to see this movie. And you didn't have to go to like Sleeping Beauty this time. You got to go to Jurassic Park.
Yeah.
And your kid was like just as jacked as if it was like the new Disney movie, if not more so. And you as a parent were like, this is actually pretty fucking cool. You know?
Yeah.
So that's a huge win for parents when they get to experience that, I think. And Jurassic Park hits that just so hard. And it still hits it today. Like if any of us have kids, Colin, I'm sure you'll show Arturius Jurassic Park when he's ready to see a Dilophosaur kill Newman. But, you know, we have to wait. We have to wait for that moment.
Yeah.
I have to say though,
Oh,
too,
yeah,
like fun
man.
fact, I annoyed the hell out of my brothers. I watched this movie like every day for a while as a kid. Literally
yeah.
every day. Over and over. And they would sit there and just like repeat the lines next to the movie to try to annoy me. But I was obsessed with it.
Micah, we got Micah here. See,
Yeah.
nobody cares.
Yeah.
To out Clayton a little, I don't know if he'd be embarrassed at all, but I think for me that was Last
Guess you
Samurai.
don't give a shit.
Nope. Well, the amount of times I walked downstairs and The Last Samurai was on, which by the way was a copy from his friend that we just never returned, so it still has another person's name on it.
Sure does.
Great movie.
That did not age nearly as well as Jurassic Park, but
Let me guess.
Also-
The last Samurai is a white guy.
Yeah.
Take a
It's
guess.
Tom Cruise.
Okay.
no,
I would argue that he's
not
not.
technically.
Not
But Tom
technically.
Cruise definitely
Come
is
on.
the white savior of that movie, and there's no denying that.
Colin, what did you think of Jurassic Park?
I mean, the best of the best.
Yeah, come on.
Really. I mean, I think it's sort of like there are books and works of art and films and stuff where honestly the people who created them don't know how popular they became because they couldn't tell that they were doing something that was going to be absolutely iconic at the time. So if you've worked with creative people before, like they will tell you straight up, you know, I was just doing the thing that I did multiple times before, but like this went wrong and that went wrong and this led to this, and all of a sudden, you know, everything just happens. In other words, you know, things come out perfect, and if you try to do it again, you can't replicate it
Which they
because
can.
it's so much is out of your control. And I feel like this film is like Spielberg at the height of his abilities. It is Williams at the height of his abilities. It is these actors at the debatably at the height of their career, but certainly probably the most popular thing any of them ever did, and they all do great. And it's just like
Good kid acting,
no one
too.
could have predicted the timing of all of this. Yeah, and with the kids too. I mean, I have told people about like rewatch the raptor scene in the kitchen. And
Oh,
like,
yeah.
that's so iconic for
So
just
great.
so many genres of film. But I'm pretty sure there's virtually no talking. Like
Yeah.
No,
unlike
Yeah.
future you know, Marvel films and Jurassic Park films, like there's a lot of silence, which is always a great indication of like, has the director and screenwriters and producers and stuff like really thought this through as an artistic venture? The fact that this is a visual medium, and like that scene is a perfect encapsulation of like, let's use silence as a storytelling device.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just unbelievable.
Great suspense,
Yeah.
you know, to build up to that.
Yeah.
And
No,
Micah
no.
talked about that in his debate about Spielberg was always a master of what you don't see is a lot more interesting than what you do. Even in like E.T., you know, you see, it takes a while before you see E.T. and he's kind of scary until you see him. And then you kind of realize, okay, E.T.'s chilling. He's a nice little guy that's going to heal you. But like when he first is in the shed and stuff and he's rustling around in the backyard, it's, you know, it could potentially be scary. And
the first
Jaws
time-
is a masterclass of that.
And
So is this
The
movie.
first
mean-
time you see Jaws,
Oh,
where
yeah.
he's like dumping the chum in, and it's like there's no music. There's like Colin says,
Yep.
there's silence. It's like a mundane task, and this fucking shark just comes out of the water. Like that is, you can't replicate that.
I mean, as a kid, I was
Nope.
scarred for
Yeah.
life with those kids being attacked by the Tyrannosaurus Rex with just this
Oh
my
my
God,
god,
it's so
panel
good.
over the top of them. It's like, who came up with that? Like, that is the most genius horror scenario that I am still scarred by.
I know. Tremendously
Spielberg's
scary
great.
until you look at it and you're like, and I'm reading in the script here that these children were somehow not crushed to death.
Hey,
Sure.
Interesting. All right,
it's fine.
let's move along.
Micah, you had something?
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I didn't mean to cut you.
No.
I feel like Spielberg's like the master at coming up with these iconic visuals or moments that just are masterfully constructed. I mean, like
Mhm.
whether it's like Spielberg, this whole analysis of his like one shots and the way that he tells you so much in just one take or one shot with the camera moving and actors come closer to the camera, move further away, and he's just brilliant at
Mhm.
I mean, just the water cup moment, just coming up with that idea. And
It's
so many
great.
people have copied these moments, because they're amazing. But
And
he's just amazing at that,
Yeah.
There's also like I can visualize that scene, like with the T-Rex and the Jeeps and stuff in there. Like I can visualize that scene and what the set looks like and where everything is. And like some blockbusters today, it's like it's just jump cuts after jump cut, and it's like I
that's
don't
true.
know where like
Or
we
you can-
are. Like
Or the one
what-
that bothers me is like
Yes.
when people are walking around and you can tell that they're in like a studio. Like you
Yep.
can tell like, oh, this
It's a
forest
green screen.
scene, they just like walked in a circle and went back to the same forest scene. Like, but to your point, Micah, of the water, like that's cultural zeitgeist stuff that we'll never copy again. Like when I see the, the little vibration,
Yeah, the little.
I think
Mhm.
of Jurassic Park every time. It like can't escape my mind. It's like I see the little
Yeah.
bubble in the water. I'm like, oh, T-Rex is coming.
It's thematic too. I mean, just before that, we
Yeah.
have the scene where Ian Malcolm is using the water drop to explain chaos theory,
Mm.
and then you have the water in a very close scene, and a water is very like effective in the entire film. I mean, that's what ends up shutting down a lot of the tech, so that they end up in the situation they are, is because all of their all of their shit's getting dumped on, and their IT guys trying to flee and sell shit to a rival company.
And all the Chekhov's gun stuff.
that's a good
like
point.
Binoculars when the kid like puts them on in the beginning of the movie, and then that's what sees the lamb leg and the yeah. Jeremy, I'll give my opinion after you. I'm already doing it, but hey.
Well, hey, you know,
Go, Jeremy. You're
I
the
think
newbie.
I'm gonna get-
I'm so stoked
Look, I'm
to
gonna
hear
get
what
ahead
this...
of this.
Mm.
I'm gonna get ahead of this. I'm gonna start obviously
God.
by saying this is a great movie. Okay, just watch a great movie. It's great. You've got all these great characters, iconic moments, great filmmaking, top to bottom, whatever. Now look, I am
Speed Racer.
also.
It's no Speed Racer.
I didn't even bring up Speed Racer. Now, of course, only one movie can be the greatest movie ever made, and that's Speed Racer, obviously. But now, look, okay, there are, of course, little moments here and there throughout that, like, make me stop and think, like, wait, how did this make the final cut of the movie? Why is this even here? Like they're on a paleontological dig site and there's just some loose child who apparently has never seen a turkey, and then Dr. Grant is just like, you know how these things would kill you?
Hey,
Let me explain.
to
That's
be fair,
crazy.
listen,
Hey.
turkeys aren't as commonly seen as you think. Like a dead turkey, yes, but not. I don't think a lot of people have seen live turkeys. Less than you think.
Okay, in person, sure. Why not?
That's what I'm
But
saying.
like a picture of a turkey or like
Oh, yeah.
a hand turkey in America,
Well,
Travis.
duh. But like
These
live
United
turkeys,
States of America.
live turkeys. Not many people have seen live turkeys.
Okay,
I think we're getting
That's
hung up on
fine.
the turkeys. What else?
You're
What
getting
other
a
plot
little-
holes, Jeremy.
there's so much. We got places to go, Travis. Like
This is-
how Dr. Grant apparently can't figure out how to use a seatbelt in the helicopter. Real shit's going real shit when it matters.
Okay,
that guy
but that
can't
foreshadows the
Travis,
ending.
let Jeremy finish.
I can't.
Look, okay,
Just
that's just one thing.
perception.
And whatever about how the lawyer doesn't know the difference between goats and sheep. That's fine. We can move on. The thing that gets me mostly is okay, there's one other little thing, and that's how like the T-Rex causes like tremors, like mini earthquakes with its footsteps, and somehow he snuck into the building to get the drop on the raptors, and
I like
nobody noticed.
I agree
That's
with that
fine.
one. I agree
That's
with
a
that.
good-
That's
That's a good
fine. You know, you do it because it's a movie, and that's great. What gets me is that the design of this theme park is absolutely ham bananas. Okay. And it
Sure.
makes absolutely no sense. Like, you have these electric fences all over the place that, like, if the power goes out or if, like, a tree falls the wrong way, you have just relentless, unstoppable killing machines loose in the park.
Yeah.
Like, why? No. And, like, speaking of, like, if the power goes out, the breaker for the entire complex is in its own separate building.
Yeah.
So, like, if
In the
you
middle
have
of,
to flip a breaker
like,
in the
dinosaur
middle,
land.
you have to risk death to flip the breaker.
Really should be in the main headquarters. It should
That
be
is
right
should
by
be-
the main computers.
Should
and
be
stuff. It should just be right
decentralized.
there.
That is a single point of failure.
I mean,
Where, like, you don't
Yeah.
want that. And, like, Hammond keeps
was-
saying that, like, he spares no expense. He did. He spared expenses on basic safety measures. All right.
Absolutely.
How did the hand landing scene land for you? Not to be punny, but
This is good.
Yeah.
Good. That was a good hand.
That was all right.
Right.
That was all right.
That was all right. You know?
this is the most horror-ish moment in the whole movie. I feel like.
I know,
Sure.
unless you count goat body parts.
Yeah.
Sure.
That's pretty all right.
What else, Jeremy?
Oh, is he? Yep.
Well,
I mean, I don't
look,
think he was done.
I mean, I don't know, man. Like, when it comes right down to it, yes, John Williams is the man, and you have, like,
Yeah.
incredible filmmaking top to bottom. Steven Spielberg is maybe at his best when he's trying not to show how janky the puppets and CGI he's working with are. It's incredible. And, like, you do have also my favorite moment in the movie where they're like, oh, it's not like the raptors can open doors, and then a raptor opens a door with
Naturally.
a look on its face that I can only describe as him saying, like, I've become a god. It's great. So flip and watch the movie. Don't worry about the stuff that doesn't make sense. You worrying about it isn't going to make it go away. It'll
Right,
just
that's-
make your enjoyment go away.
That T-Rex moment, even though it's unrealistic, is so badass. I mean,
Yeah.
come
Yeah.
on.
Well,
It's
it brings up
so
one of my
fun.
favorite Rick and Morty moments, which is the Anatomy Park episode where they're inside the human body and the bacteria are basically the Jurassic Park dinosaurs. But it ends in a very similar way where, like, big bad dinosaur shows up to eat the more menacing small dinosaurs. And Morty's just like, geez, Rick, did we have, like, a relationship with that thing? He's like, why did it save us, Rick? He's like, don't worry about it, Morty. But, like, I did think that, you know, it's one of those nice little plot loopholes that occasionally happens in your blockbuster movie. I do have to say, I think most of your gripes are at least lightly explained. Except for the mainframe. That's a really good point. Just put that fucking thing, especially if you're only going to pay one IT guy for the entire park. I mean,
Yeah.
I
think
guess
that's-
they have two. I
I
two.
think have that
That's
in the
not
building
enough.
where you're running the
I think
whole
that's
rest
explained
of the
too.
park.
I think that's explained too, and it's explained by work on any construction crew and just see if people make good decisions.
I mean,
Well, true.
yeah, I can tell you that there is all kinds of dumb shit like that all over the place. Like in
Yeah.
various jobs that I've worked where it's like this one person who lives in Indiana and is only works for these hours remote is the one who can reset that password for
Yeah,
this
totally.
person.
And
And
I would
he's on
fully-
vacation right now.
I would fully believe that Hammond does pay exorbitant amounts of money, but like sometimes you pay for a guy that's like, oh yeah, this guy's the expert, so I'm just going to trust what he do. And he's like, we have to put the thing in the middle of the park.
Yeah,
And
I
I'm
mean,
like, well, I'm paying you. So
I mean, for sure, the electric fence is like absurd the way
Oh,
that
yeah.
entirely works, and the,
Especially with the
electricity
trees
doesn't work the way
everywhere.
it does. Yeah, so like for sure there is that Hollywood stuff.
Half-assed every part of it. Yeah.
Well, and also to be fair, there's a decent amount of like difference from the layout that is in the book and the layout that is in the movie, just for the sake of like actually showing something on screen. I think the book goes quite a bit more in depth into how they laid the park out and the intentionality behind that. And they only briefly kind of touch on it in the movie, but you only have time for so many things. They're valid gripes, though, Jeremy. Valid gripes. Travis, what do you actually think of Jurassic Park?
I mean, as I've been defending it the whole time, I'll be brief because I know we all have to take a 5-minute break here, but it's a masterpiece. It's absolutely phenomenal. It inspired so many people to be great filmmakers, and they've cited Spielberg as their inspiration. The CGI looks amazing. The robotics are fantastic. It's genuinely pretty frightening, which every Jurassic Park movie since has tried to, well, not every. The first two tried to copy the fright, didn't get it. And then the next, what are we on? 4
6.
now? Just decided to,
Plenty.
be an action film.
Just
And,
Marvel.
Just Marvel it.
Marvel with dinosaurs.
And I think the worst case being, was it Dominion that did the freaking bugs killing the crops thing? That was
Yes.
the
We,
dumbest.
will,
Oh.
we may
Agreed.
never know.
I think that's a testament to the original, though, is like it's had 5 attempted copycats that cannot capture the
Mhm.
feeling, cannot capture the I guess feeling is the best word for it. Just can't capture anything about what made this movie iconic, and they keep trying, or they
Mhm.
gave up and are just trying something new. But I think the acting's great, the script is great. I think the kids do phenomenal, especially for the 90s. We see a lot better child acting like now than we did back then.
Mhm.
But this is impressive for that moment. There was a couple other things I want to say, but they might have slipped my mind. I do think a lot of maybe some of the gripes are valid, but also I think I think the biggest one being the sneaky T-Rex. Yeah, I lost a lot. I'm sure we'll talk about it, but masterpiece, absolutely phenomenal film. We'll still rewatch whenever I can. I do think the first 2 sequels are fun enough. I don't mind Lost World or Jurassic Park 3, but
They're passable.
Everything after that has been trash.
Yes, I was gonna say, for me, like when I watch those films and I hear the iconic theme song play, it's like almost more offensive because it's so the theme song is so good, but the movies are so not good, and it's all just like, oh, remember this feeling that you felt when you watched the original? Like I'm just gonna go watch the original again.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. It's not really canon. I mean, that's like that's like calling all the Star Wars spin-offs on par with the original trilogy. It's just not true. But it is them trying to ride that wave all the way until it's completely dead, which it's got to be close. Jurassic Park has to be close.
One can hope.
I remembered
One can
the other
hope.
things, but I'm gonna weave them into a question for our panel, so we can jump into the 5-minute break.
Let's do it. Okay, so we are going to take a 5-minute break. Everybody turn off your cameras and microphones, you included, Micah, because that will kick you off the screen. We'll be back after our little 5-minute break video here. Thanks for tuning in to Fermented Fiction. We'll see you on the other side. Hello, Fermented folks. Welcome to another episode of Fermented Fiction, the first of our new season, and I believe it's season 4. The show where we drink beer and argue with each other and bring on really awesome creative guests.
If you'll permit me to go a little bit outside the box. Once upon a time, apparently, people used to sniff mummy remains, powdered mummy remains like cocaine. So I think 3 lines of powdered mummy remains, if you can get to that as well. Yeah, that'll get you right to really enjoy the movie, you know.
Dave told us all about making a mead, and I talk shit about Tom Bombadil, as I am wont to do whenever people bring up Lord of the Rings.
You would. You should.
And then that's
Everybody
exactly what he
freaking
made.
chill about Tom Bombadil, or I'll get unreasonably upset. You know?
So, in your assessment, what did you think of the everyone kind of paired off, or at least a number of people did, romantically? How'd you feel about that? Did that seem really forced and dumb to you, or?
Tom Bombadil is a merry old fellow with his bright blue jacket and his boots are yellow. Right?
His boots are yellow.
Right.
Imagine discovering mummy remains and oh my god, these ancient figures. Dude, what if we crushed this and snorted it, yo? I bet we'd get fucked up.
Let's talk for a moment about the fucking all-star cast in this movie. We have Ewan McGregor slaughtering it the entire time, main character energy, top to bottom. You can't argue with it. Women want him, men want him, everybody wants Ewan McGregor. Okay? If you don't agree with that, you're lying to yourself.
Apparently she had a backstory, but they cut it because she's very hard-nosed at the beginning. And then I will say another pro of this movie is their chemistry is hot. And I feel if they didn't have that chemistry, I would have been ugh. Because she says at one point, she's oh, it's the apocalypse. What are we going to do? Fuck. And he's and then later when they are kissing, if they didn't have chemistry and if it was two lesser actors, I think it would have been an eye roll, felt cheesy, but you feel their bond.
The Langoliers themselves were originally going to be portrayed by puppets, and I think maybe they should have. Maybe they should have.
Dude, that's amazing.
There's no maybe about that.
And I wish that I could say that there was something greater happening here than the war diary of a broken man living as sort of this White Tower academic with all of his friends sitting inside the Eagle and Child drinking beer and pretending Magic Lion Jesus isn't really silly. Because, it is. If we can just all be very honest with each other.
The Lord's work out there. Good job.
I like to think that I am. Most people aren't big enough, but I am. I'm willing to step up.
Yeah. Dedicate that time. You're willing to dedicate that time.
The time, the money, all of it.
That was so painful. It's one of those painful things.
Oh, that was so
good.
That was so good. We've never been so savagely attacked by any author on their show. It's incredible.
Did you think that I was going to do the arbitrary comment and subscribe? You're wrong.
I was about to. But mainly I was thinking man, isn't it great how you pointed out that we made somebody argue against the Lord of the Rings, and then we had a lot of proof just backing it up.
All the proof.
Jeremy,
that was him.
Then,
he was trying to do
that's
it.
That's the whole guy.
Jeremy.
He's a whole ass guy. Yeah. And he did it. He argued. He gave it a strong go.
Except I don't think he would argue as proof. I think he would be definitely on the side of Lord of the Rings' genius.
Well, he is on that side.
Yeah,
you can also see that in the episode if you go watch it.
Flipping go watch it. It's a fun...
Which is easier if you like, comment, and subscribe.
That's true. Because then you know when new shit comes out, and you know where the channel is, and you've already subscribed to it. So then you're just a better person in general as well.
In general.
Yeah. Don't be an asshole.
Yeah.
All right.
Don't do it.
We will. I think Colin should be coming back, but we're gonna. He's dead, so we're gonna just jump right into the ship, and maybe we'll get Colin back soon. And I have to start. I have to. It's like when you talk about basketball and someone mentions Michael Jordan, you have to ask this question: is Spielberg the GOAT? All right, because I'm looking through his filmography, and I've done this a couple times in the past years to be like, is he really as good as people say he is? And he's done around 60 films as a director. I counted 19 of them. Of those 19, 3 I consider misses. That's impressive. That's a career.
That's a lot.
So
Can I can
my
guess,
first
right?
final
So I can.
question. Micah, you start us off.
Sorry.
Is Spielberg the GOAT? Oh, you
I
want
was
to
gonna
guess?
Also, point out
I was-
Travis's misses. I think, yeah, do that too.
Can you guess?
Do
can you
that
guess-
first.
Yeah, I'm gonna say 1941, Always, and what would the
Is it
third be?
AI?
Ready Player One.
Ready
Ooh,
Player
Ready
One.
Player
One. You
One.
got
I
one.
keep
I
forgetting
haven't
about
seen the other two. Those are not
Okay.
two of the 19 I've seen. My other two are. I genuinely really did not like Kingdom of the Crystal Skull.
Yes.
Um,
Yeah.
Sure.
Fair.
Yeah,
I'm not a
obviously.
fan of that movie, and
Same.
I didn't like Hook. So
That's fair.
Okay,
Hook is
that's-
powered
yeah.
by pure nostalgia. And if you
Just-
weren't like as
Yep.
into Peter Pan as the CEO from Alien Earth, then Hook's a piece of shit.
Just a near lethal dose of whimsy.
So all that
Near
to
lethal
say,
dose of whimsy. I love
That's
that.
the quote.
That's another shirt idea. Like, and just like the Hook with like a drip of like a serum from it.
Mm.
That's good.
I
Micah,
mean, of those 16 movies, like these are not
Yeah.
small. Like Raiders of the Lost Ark, Close Encounters, Jaws. Like Micah, tell us, is Steven Spielberg the GOAT?
Oh, for sure. I think he's the GOAT. It's interesting because, like, he was my childhood hero and inspiration. I would say, like, his films that he's making now don't necessarily inspire me in the same way they used to. I think there's other filmmakers I've grown to relate to more or think that are maybe deeper thematically and emotionally. But man, I mean, an amazing filmography. I mean, Schindler's List, Saving Private Ryan, Raiders of the Lost Ark, Close Encounters, E.T. Like, I'd say he has a lot of greats on his filmography. And I mean, even if you don't like some of his films, he's still doing things that are very iconic and memorable and just beautiful movie moments. And so I think he's absolutely one of the GOATs. And I think people will tell you that that have worked with him as well, especially actors. I mean, he's able to always pull out great child performances, like you guys were mentioning earlier, but almost in every film. But I mean, think about how many times he changed the game repeatedly, almost in every movie. I'd say like the 70s to 90s was his strong suit was in that period of time. I personally love his 70s films, and in the 90s you have Schindler's List and Saving Private Ryan. But I'd say in the last decade, maybe the films he's been making have not been my favorite per se, but I wouldn't also say they were bad by any means. But yeah, absolutely. I think absolutely one of the greatest of all time.
Colin, what do you think?
It's a hard question because I mean, I love Stanley Kubrick, but I mean, it's if I were to compare those two directors, it's so hard because I think honestly Spielberg had more. I don't know, just more people have seen his movies. And they're so iconic, and there's such a masterclass in how to make a movie. And there are other fantastic directors who have made incredible movies. But I mean, you talk about a water glass tremor, right? And it's just so iconic, and Jaws and lines from those movies that people will quote. And it's just, I would definitely say greatest of all time. And he's had stuff that, I don't know. I mean, things like Catch Me If You Can is great, and Minority Report, and I mean those were going through like 2004, and then there's Kingdom of the Crystal Skull and Ready Player One and stuff.
There sure is.
So
I'm telling you, 1941 and Always though are pretty bottom of the barrel.
Oh, okay.
Well, now we just know not to watch them. Thank you, Mike.
Yeah.
Those are deep cuts anyway.
Just keep his filmography a little less tainted for ourselves.
He did The Color Purple too, right? That's
But yeah. But think about that film too, because in the 1980s to make a movie like that was just like a huge swing for him.
Yeah,
I mean, people were like giving him so much shit for making that movie then, and it's an impressive movie, I think, and it's to make that movie after what he had made previously is pretty crazy.
Yeah.
For sure.
Clay?
And the fact that you can make Schindler's List and Jurassic Park at the same fucking time. Like, I mean,
Sweet
I don't
Jesus.
know, man. How can you even? The thing is, it's a little bit like he's not my favorite director, but I do think he's probably the GOAT. Because it's just, I don't know, who can you even like put up against him, honestly, that like really
I have like the same feeling, Clay.
other than it's like if you specify it to American directors especially, then there's really no competition.
Yeah.
I mean, there's Bergman out there, and there's some people that like were doing it for a really long time. I mean, Alfred Hitchcock made a lot of great movies. Martin Scorsese's made a lot of great movies, but I don't really but I am very much a consumer of contemporary fiction. I love contemporary fiction. I love the classics too, but I am very much in the contemporary sphere. So like my favorite directors are in the contemporary sphere. I love McDonough and I love Eggers. Eggers is my favorite, but he's made 4 movies. So like putting him in the same conversation as Spielberg is asinine. You can't do it. Like if you make 32 fucking movies, you're bound to have like 4 whiffs at least. You can like hope you have 4 whiffs, and Spielberg really does have like 28 solid ass films, and then like 4 that I'm taking Micah's word on 2 of them that are like hard whiffs. But like
to be
and again, like if those were and let's say Spielberg had made 2 movies and it was those 2, would they really be that bad, or would we be like those are pretty good? I don't know, because like people criticize for I can only use the examples I'm extremely familiar with, but like for example, Eggers gets shit on a lot for like The Northman. I still think that's a bomb ass movie. And if it was someone else's only movie, they'd be like, that's a good movie by that director, you know? But because it's Eggers, it's being held up against The Witch, Nosferatu, and The Lighthouse. And so people are like, that movie sucks. And it's like, no, it doesn't. It just isn't Eggers' best movie. And I think maybe that happens to some of Spielberg's movies too, but Crystal Skull is a steaming pile of dog shit, and so is Ready Player One. And I don't think there's too much contesting that.
People
I agree,
love.
but
Sorry, go ahead, Micah.
Well, I was just gonna say that I think one thing to note though too is that people give directors or filmmakers shit for making a bad project, but I think, not to sound cliche, but those failures end up can be something positive, because I know that Spielberg has talked about learning a lot from 1941 flopping and from just some of those. Yeah, always is another example, but like you always learn something, and maybe you're trying to say that you didn't quite land, but like you're still learning as you're going along, and so it's easy to be like, oh, that movie sucks and it's suck shit, but it's a chance you never know how it's going to turn out, and so I think if you can take something away from it and learn as a director, I think Spielberg probably did after those projects, and occasionally you make some shitty movies, but it's easier to say as the viewer than to just acknowledge as a creative and artist, it happens, and it's not necessarily a bad thing.
100%. Wait, did Spielberg do War of the Worlds too?
He did.
Yes,
I rewatched that recently. I didn't mind it. That didn't make my list of. It's one of his like meh, but it's not a miss in my opinion.
But like a mess Spielberg is like it's still like pretty good.
Still some good
true
moments.
It's the same principle, right? Where it's like, yeah, if this was a different director's like one of their 5 movies, maybe it's their worst movie or something, but it's still pretty good. But with Spielberg, you're holding it up against like movies that literally defined the 90s. I mean, Spielberg defined the 90s in so many ways, and that isn't really arguable. It isn't. Like E.T. and Jurassic Park and Jaws are like movies that are preserved by like the historical society, because it's like, if you want to know what America was about in the 90s, you need to watch some Spielberg, and there's just no 2 ways about that.
Yeah, and to the War of the Worlds thing, and close like to what you said earlier, Micah, of like the moments, man. Like that movie as a whole is pretty messy. There's a lot of scenes that are, not great, but I will never forget the first arrival of the alien and like Tom Cruise sprinting through the city with people exploding into clouds of like ash in front of him. Sure. And I'll never forget the basement scene with the
basement scene,
the red vines and the little telescope eye that's like in freaking what's his name hitting
Tom
him with
Cruise has to close the door because you can't see what's happening
Yep.
behind it.
those two scenes.
Little
I'm like,
kid.
they were genius. Like they're in
That's
a
true.
film, but they're genius.
It's crazy because like with Spielberg, it's both. It's two different things. Like for one, it's a numbers game. Like he's made so many movies that
Right.
like obviously his record is not going to be perfect, but it should be way worse for the sheer
Yeah.
number of
Statistically
things he's done.
speaking.
Like honestly, it's crazy that it's not.
Mhm.
And I think it comes down to like what you guys were all talking about during about with Jurassic Park, where like there's this visual element that he just doesn't ever seem to ignore. Like like the raptor scene in the kitchen, there's no dialogue, it's visual. And you get those in basically any movie he's got his hands in,
Mm-hmm.
where the visuals are at least as big a part of how he's trying to tell the story as the dialogue is. Usually bigger. You can tell there's like the silent film influences with his stuff, with how much is communicated, whether it's important or not. Like I remember like a lot of wild visual gags when we talked about like Minority Report, during the scene where Tom Cruise is being chased by the dudes in jetpacks and they're just smashing through an apartment building, and it's crazy.
Yeah.
But you can tell just watching that, like, oh, this is a Spielberg movie.
Yeah, that's the key. I think is what you just said, and also Clay. Like I was going to say, to go off what you were talking about, not just as a director, but imagine what he was producing in the '90s as well. As a producer, he's just dominated. You know, Back to the Future and like all the classics from the '80s to '90s. He
Gremlins, didn't he produce Gremlins?
Yep.
That's 201 producer credits.
Come on now.
It's
cannot be stopped.
Micah.
And there are filmmakers, obviously, you know, like Tarkovsky and Bergman, that like you look at their filmography and almost, in my view, almost all of them are great. Or Kurosawa. But again, the impact of Spielberg's films culturally as a pop culture phenomenon is just unmatched, I think.
Mm-hmm.
I think
Definitely.
I hit the nail on the head before I go to the next question of like, like if we're talking about Americans, I think Scorsese maybe is up there in the conversation as the greatest American director of all time. But even then, like all he made is R-rated films, essentially.
Yeah.
Like they don't reach as wide of an audience. He didn't branch out as much. Like Scorsese makes R-rated, hardcore like films. There's a couple maybe different ones, but Spielberg does whatever Spielberg wants, and like he's in every genre. Like science fiction.
Yeah.
I think he maybe has probably made a fantasy movie, but animation, children's film,
BFG
like,
is kind of fantasy.
BFG is
Adventures
definitely
of
fantasy.
Tintin.
Yeah.
Hook, fantasy, obviously.
He's done everything, and that I think not very many people can boast about that, which is pretty cool. My second question here is regarding more of the some of the topic we touched on in the debate you two did, and that's the special effects. And I want to talk in relation to Jurassic Park of how did they stand up? Because I do think most people say they do, and I would tend to agree. Like the T-Rex still looks good. And then B, I just want to talk about, there's been a lot of the special effects doom talk is what I'm going to call it for this, of like, you know, oh, we're never going to get this again. Like it's all bad. You know, it's all the computer generated stuff is never going to be the same. And there's a lot of the reminiscing of the old days. And I don't have enough knowledge to even know if that's legit or if it's just curmudgeon-y kind of, it's not the same kind of talk. So I'd like to hear from you, Micah, especially an expert who kind of were inspired to make movies by this movie, of like, is some of that doom talk legit, and does Jurassic Park hold up as well as people say?
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, absolutely. I think Jurassic Park holds up. Like I was saying earlier, to me, it looks better than some modern films. And I think it's because of the usage of blending of animatronics and CGI. So it's not entirely CGI. But also, I think because it was a new technology, there was a lot more emphasis on trying to make it look really good. Whereas now I feel like there's sort of a rush to like, we need to get these amount of shots done and in time. And you have huge teams working on it. And it just loses that like attention to detail from the director, maybe. Lord of the Rings is another example early on of like some of the special effects being pushing the boundaries of what you could do. And I think in general, mainstream films are going to continue doing what they're doing, but I think there's always a push from audiences and people like us, or fans of the old way of doing things, that there will be filmmakers who harken back to that, or like that want to do like, hey, we're going to do old school special effects on this film. Whether it's like puppets or Del Toro, I know is a big fan of.
Yep.
At least he claims not to be super into CGI, even though some of his films use a lot of it still. But I think just that idea of like, even like claymation films, like people are still doing those. There's still hand drawn stuff, but it becomes more niche and it becomes more of a special thing than like being super common, I guess is what I would say. So, oh yeah, go ahead.
I have a follow-up question for you, and that is there any like very positive examples that you can think of more of the quote-unquote modern way of doing it, of this like fully CGI, like completely computer generated, not going back to like the old ways? Is there an example that you've seen that actually worked super well, that gave you a bit of hope for these mainstream movies moving forward?
Isn't it a good example of them using modern special effects?
Yeah.
Well, just really quick, a movie that popped in my mind is The Odyssey. I know that Christopher Nolan's doing this massive epic version of it, but I think from what I've heard, a lot of it is they're shooting in IMAX entirely, and then there's a lot of practical effects. I mean, they're building ships, and the giants are actually being resized people, and they're not relying on CGI. I want to say there's been a couple of films where I didn't mind as much, like it was done well, but I'm kind of blanking right now. I mean, even Ready Player One was an example where I thought it didn't look very good, and it relied too heavily on CGI. And even though it was in the video game realm, it just didn't look interesting. And a lot of the movie was in that world, But I'll have to come back to you on that one. I can't think of a film right now off the top of my head that
we can circle back. But Clay, what do you think?
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead, Micah.
I do appreciate Christopher Nolan being a filmmaker who is doing it more old school and doesn't use much CGI, and I have a lot of respect for that.
Clay?
Yeah. I'm trying to think of an example too. I can't think of an example I love, to be honest. But I mean, I could use my easiest go-to example. It's not a movie, but it is a show. Y'all know what it is.
All right.
There was some pretty sick CGI in Game of Thrones. But it also had its problems, which was, and they make jokes about it all the time, but like the dragon budget became so good that they just like completely forgot about the dire wolves, and it was like a whole deal. And Ghost was just sort of gone, and it was like, where's Ghost? Oh yeah, I guess he doesn't matter anymore in the eyes of the storytellers, so fuck Ghost. Which is, I got so many problems with that. But it doesn't matter. That's one example of like pretty awesome CGI, but I also do hate, like, man, watching the behind the scenes of like Game of Thrones. There's some cool stuff, but compared to the Lord of the Rings, it's kind of depressing because you watch like how much of it is just in a giant green room, and you're like, man, that's a real bummer. And good on the actors for still being able to like engross themselves in that world, because Jesus, the amount of like fake shit they have to imagine these days is a lot more than they used to have to imagine. Like one of my favorite examples of this done in the old school way that was awesome was like Firefly. Like the ship existed. They built the ship, the whole thing. And so like they lived on that. They actually lived on Serenity. It was the whole ship was built as a set, and those rooms and everything. I mean, that's like the actor's dream, to like inhabit a sci-fi world like that. And it really exists. So I will always be nostalgic of that era. I'm never really going to be the person that just wants digitization and automation to replace all the creativity of humankind. I hate that. So yeah, that's kind of where I am with it. I don't know if anyone else wants to speak to that.
Yeah, I just thought of one really quick that if I can is the Dune movies. I think are do a really good job.
Yeah, that's a good example.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Those look amazing.
Like,
Yeah.
I think in the end of the first and a lot in the second of the like, they really captured the shields well, where you have to like drill through slow and then the explosion inside. That looked phenomenal. Jeremy,
That's a good example, Micah.
Jeremy?
Yeah, like, I mean, I don't think, and this could be a hottish take, but I don't think that CGI now is any different than what like puppetry and stop motion was before we had that technology. Like, if you look at older things that overused like puppets and stop motion, you can really tell and you can feel how like janky everything looks. Like, we covered Terminator not too long ago, and if you look at that first movie, there's this one thing where there's this stop motion Terminator just running down a hallway, and you're like, oh, that's wow. This is where the budget went. Huh? All right. That's cool. That's cool. And like, you get that now with any big budget thing that's like, okay, we're gonna pour money into CGI until all the artists' eyes start bleeding, and it shows. It shows that, like, okay, you just worked people to death, and that's how we have this wall of names in the credits after every Marvel movie. But like, I don't think it's realistically different from before, because like, when you watch a movie where the CGI is like notably like really good, it's because it's not very noticeable, and that's because it's not there very much. Like in Jurassic Park, like, it's there basically to make the puppets look less shitty, and then it goes away so you don't have to look at it, because they can't afford to make something that looks realistic for very long. And like, we talked about that with like Godzilla -1, where the CG was strategic and very intentional and minimal, as much as it could be for a Godzilla movie. And I think, and I did say it before, like, I feel like that's one of the areas where Spielberg shines, like trying to minimize looking at something that doesn't hold up to prolonged visual scrutiny. And I think that's because he does understand that the whole visual element of telling the stories. So like in this, and like in Jaws, where he tried to not show the shark because it kept fucking up every time he tried to put it on screen. And yeah, it's one of those things. I feel like, what?
Go ahead.
If we're talking about an example of where I think CGI is done very well, I'm going to go kind of the opposite direction, where like, it's not trying to look real at all, which is in like some of the extended sequences in the first Doctor Strange movie, where like, yeah, it's not trying to look real, and it doesn't have to, because it doesn't look real. It looks incredible instead.
I think to your point, Jeremy, and to give a franchise that I actually hate story-wise and think they're really crap movies, but Avatar, like the Avatar film, James Cameron's whole purpose is like, we haven't figured out how to do fire right. So I'm going to just pour a bunch of money into this fire movie and see if we can do the fire right. And like, the whole time you're like, this storyline sucks, but man, that fire looks real. So I think the Avatar movies maybe proved my point wrong of like, yeah, he made his whole purpose like trying to make CG look as good as possible. And sure, his movies aren't very good, but like, hot damn, those computer graphics look freaking amazing.
I'm
Colin?
glad I'm not the only. I'm glad I'm not
Go
the only
ahead.
one that feels that way about Avatar.
Heighton's with me. I know he's on that boat with me. But Colin, what do you think?
So, what if I told you, think of
Please-
the film
please.
that had the best CGI you've ever seen, or special effects, right? And what if I can guarantee that multiple people have seen this film, and that it didn't even come out necessarily recently, and that it had 11.7 million polygons, 52,000 individual pieces in one character.
You about to blow my
This is
mind
when
here?
we were using polygons.
It's a
Great.
72-hour render. It's a 32 gigs for just this one character, which took 85% of ILM's render farm.
Okay.
All right. Just think of
Oh.
what that film would be.
Ooh.
Is it an early
32
CGI?
gigs? That's not even very much. If we're talking about
Full on.
we're talking about memory.
So
or
much
what?
rendering time that it supposedly, by rumor, melted all sorts of computers that tried to run it when they
God,
were
is
rendering
this one of the
this CG.
Is this one of the
sequence.
Star Wars prequels, or what are we doing here?
There's also
This
like
is- Are you ready?
this is a shot in the dark, but Young Sherlock Holmes is an early one that they did with the mirror, the stained glass mirror popping out. Do you guys remember that one?
No.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, Colin. Yeah.
So you would think that that would be the most incredible visual odyssey you've ever seen in your life, and that probably
The
would have happened in
goddamn
like
Star Wars
2020
prequels,
or
I
something.
Swear to God.
Right? You know, like we have AI data mega centers being put up by Elon Musk. Surely this is where this comes from.
Nope.
This is the character Devastator, the villain in Transformers Revenge of the Fallen 2009.
Oh, that makes sense. Michael Bay. Yeah. I mean, his movies look great, but again, Avatar thing, trash film.
Yeah.
So,
yes,
so-
Devastator, that character we all know, love, and remember.
Yes.
Yeah, which
How
one?
could we have not guessed that?
I
Which
mean,
one
Is that the
he the
giant
plane?
construction robot with the testicles?
Or is he the plane?
no, this is the one that like it's constantly changing. It looks like a giant like worm
Oh.
that eats
Okay.
buildings.
Huh.
Oh, that.
So
Listen,
I mean,
Michael
But it
Bay
wasn't
knows
the
how to work a
testes.
color scheme.
not the testes robot.
Not the testes robot.
Sadly, I think that came out before.
Right.
But I mean, so we know that money doesn't equal artistry. We know that more polygons and better computing power doesn't make things look better. It's just a fact. So those things don't translate. They don't correlate with one another. You can throw more money at a problem and it doesn't make a movie better. So the only issue I think that's really sad is that we're going in a direction where AI generated content is going to make blockbuster films possible for less people to perform their work on creating something that is mass produced and taken the place of what was done by a bunch of people back in the day. And it does, how much emphasis is there going to be in the future on, groups and teams of people collaborating to create their portion of a big film together collaboratively rather than separately, different locations all over the world with mostly AI generating the content and people checking a box that says approved.
Yeah, I think it actually just happened. Actually, Evangeline Lilly, the actress, she posted a video saying that I forget which Marvel film it was, but one of the new Marvel films, the whole team got let go like overnight for that very reason.
And actors like full on, like I mean, didn't Scarlett Johansson sue for her, voice being used and copied? And the question of should we resurrect actors and put them in a Star Wars film because they're dead?
I think I see a scarier problem, and not to be too much of a curmudgeon, but like I'm around teenagers all day for my job, and like the movies they're gravitating towards are not the ones that are made the old way, or not the art house stuff. Like, and maybe that's
Yeah.
just a teenager thing, and it's just a measure.
And
of
I think
exposure.
that's
But,
what
like,
everybody needs to ask themselves is like, do
Yeah.
you care? Do you care if the next summer blockbuster is completely AI generated or not?
Yeah. Do you care enough to, or like the question I ask myself all the time is like, as I start to maybe have a family and stuff, do I care enough to literally avoid those, like, and not let my children even see them? Of like, why can't they watch this movie? Not because it's rated R, because AI made it, and I don't want that. like, don't watch that slop.
And they're like, I'm gonna sneak into the closet.
They will.
Yeah, look, if
AI.
you forbid it, then they're just
You-
gonna go.
You
for
saw
it
how that worked
right
out for
behind
Micah's
their back.
parents
Yeah.
with
I was just
Jurassic
gonna
Park.
say,
There's worse things a
But,
kid
yeah.
can be watching in the closet than Transformers. Okay.
yeah. Yeah, exactly. I think too, though. I mean, going back to what we were talking about earlier a little bit, is that there is a difference to me with because you're talking about bad CGI and then also bad practical effects. But with the practical effects, even when it's bad, there's something like tactile about it, in my view, and something that feels grounded in reality, and it just makes it more interesting to me. And so, like, I'd almost prefer, like, the original Star Wars is a perfect example. Like, I still think, you know, Empire and A New Hope, like, they still look amazing, even though, of course, you can see the model work. But I think, like, the opening shot of A New Hope, for example, is a perfect example.
Yep.
We know it's a model, but it looks amazing. And there's just something different to me with seeing something that was made by hands and by people on screen. And it's also like the usage of CGI, not to make like a single character, but where you're looking at like 10 shots and they're all CGI, and it's like they're weightless and there's nothing is grounded in reality and something that feels real. And that's where it loses me a bit.
We're at our 2-hour mark, Micah. Do you have time for one more question? The pretentious question of the week.
Let's do it.
All right.
I mean,
What
he's
is
got
your
the
philosophical
collar and the
quandary?
sweater. He's ready.
He does. He has the collar and the sweater.
Does that make me the most pretentious on
No, yeah, I think that's going to be Travis. But we got the question.
Probably.
Okay. All right.
Pretentious question of the week is actually one that I've had 2 arguments with recently with people, which is a lot of the times how I think of these, of like, hey, I want to know what other people think as an answer to this argument I literally had in my life. And one of them is this question of changing mediums. And what I think makes it a pretentious question is, what I want to ask is, like, is there anything, or how do I phrase this? If the medium has to be, so from book to movie, it has to fundamentally change. And if to do that change, to make it visually compelling. So for context, the argument we were having was about the Prince Caspian film, where they made quite a few changes to that book to make it more entertaining, as a visual thing. Like, the book is entertaining, but a lot of it is them walking through the woods. And so they added this action scene and stuff. So thinking of Jurassic Park and taking it from book to movie, cutting a lot, changing some of the characterization, I think that all had to happen to make the movie that Spielberg made. And the big question is, if changes are going to be so fundamental from book to movie, is there any possibility that maybe we shouldn't even consider it? That, like, we shouldn't make the medium change from book to film if it's going to shift the story in such a way that you're changing characters, you're changing some parts of the setting, you're adding action where it wasn't. I guess, is there ever a line for y'all where it's like, you know what, don't even make this, don't even turn this from book to movie? That's the question. Micah.
I'm not like hardcore on this. I think that you have to. I personally am of the belief that you have to adapt and change it for the screen, because it's a different medium, and things that work well on paper don't always work well in a movie on screen. And so for me, it's, are they keeping the core essential foundation of the story and translating that, or are they just getting rid of all the interesting parts and adding a bunch of action scenes that don't really relate to it? Like, to me, a perfect example is Lord of the Rings. Like, yes, there's tons of changes, but I can see why they made the changes they made, and I don't mind, even if I like the books as well. I don't mind that they made those changes. So for me, as long as they're keeping the themes and the story and the messaging the same, I think it's fine. And I think you have to a point. Like with Jurassic Park, I don't necessarily I agree with Clay. I think the book is stronger in a lot of ways, but I can see why they made the changes they did, and I think Spielberg's ending feels very Spielbergian. You know, it's like more of a positive, like the end on the airplane with the birds. It fits what they're doing with the movie, and I think it works. So I think those are good examples of projects that do it well. I'm sure there's some bad ones too that they butcher it, but in general, it's not. I don't think it's a bad thing if they're changing things for the film.
Yeah, I agree. I think as long as the fundamentals remain the same, I'm not really a big proponent of saying that the book or the movie are necessarily like fundamentally better. I'm more of the mind that you should approach them as different entities. However, I do think there are some maybe translations that really don't happen very well without dismantling fundamental brickwork that does kind of ruin the story that I loved. And I think I think you owe something to the fans of whatever came first if you're going to do an adaptation of it. You know, I think that's the reason so many people are mad at like the Wheel of Time, because it set out to dismantle it, but in dismantling it, it also wasn't good. So like if you're going to dismantle it, you need to be really good if you're going to get away with it. Another one that I was like, I hope they never try it again is like The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
Yeah.
I just don't think that translates well to film, because the only way to include the funniest part of that book, which is the narrator, would be to like Donnie Darko the whole thing. And then it's hard to not just be doing the show You or Donnie Darko. And that's always douchey. Like there's really no two ways about it. It just sounds douchey. And even if it was with Douglas Adams writing, it would still be like, what is happening here? It doesn't really make sense. It just has this like narcissistic kind of vibe to it. I think those films that do the narration over the main character, they inherently center the main character in a very different light. Yeah. And that was never, and the Hitchhiker's Guide is so counter to centering Arthur Dent in that way or Ford Prefect in that way that it just doesn't fucking translate. So I do think that that's like an example. I think what you're asking, Travis, is there an adaptation you hope to never see because there's a fundamental dismantling that would have to come into play that makes it impossible? For me, that's like The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. I don't think you can do it on film. They tried, it sucked, and there's a reason it sucked, and it's because the best thing about that book is the like Douglas Adams omniscient narrator that isn't a character. But like if you give us an omniscient narrator in a film, in a visual medium, then we have to attach that voice to somebody, and that voice will be read by somebody. And usually, you know, say it was Martin Freeman playing Arthur Dent, it's going to be Martin Freeman doing the narration, and then he's a totally different character. Arthur Dent can't be Douglas Adams saying they floated the way bricks don't. Like that's not how he looks at the world. That's the way
Dent
that
is
Arthur
fully not aware enough to do.
He's not thinking about how they floated at all. He doesn't even see them. He's like lost it. He's laying in the muck, just trying to protect his house for reasons he can't even comprehend. Because he descended from from middle management, and there's nothing he can do about that. So that would be an example I can think of. And then there's plenty of examples of good and bad.
Yeah.
I feel like Watchmen's another example I can think of too. I don't know how you guys felt, but I feel like visually, visually, like it looks beautiful, of course. But I feel like that's such an in-depth comic that has so much subtlety and depth in little philosophical things that is totally lost in the movie.
Yeah,
because of the way the panels are constructed and the way that graphic novel is written, it just doesn't translate for me.
Yeah, and Zack Snyder doesn't understand the meaning of the word subtlety, but I'm also
Well, did you watch the director's cut?
Yeah, then you'll get it. Then you'd get it.
You just didn't watch the director's cut.
For the same reasons you cited of Hitchhiker's Guide, I will on air say, and hopefully not catch flack from the man who I met, who's an incredibly nice person, Matt Dinneman. I'm pretty damn worried about Dungeon Crawler Carl. I just don't know.
I don't
know how it'll map. I don't know how it'll map on the screen.
I mean, from what he mentioned about who's involved, I feel pretty confident about that. Like, sure, you hear like Seth MacFarlane's
the opposite.
you hear Seth MacFarlane's production company and you think like, oh, like Family Guy. But honestly, I don't know if you've watched The Orville.
I've heard it's decent. I've heard
it does really well as a Star Trek sort of parody. I think it fumbles with some of the like bigger like philosophical debates that it could have as a Star Trek-esque show, but overall, I think it's solid as like a quirky, funny sci-fi. We're doing Star Trek, but we're not calling it that kind of show. And like, I'm also maybe gonna push back. I probably have before about the Hitchhiker's Guide being adaptable, because sometimes I am on the side of like, what, this maybe can't be done. And I of course saw the film starring Martin Freeman and like this entire all-star cast who were like pitch perfect casting, no notes, obviously, but like,
wasn't Alan Rickman in the movie?
Yeah, Alan Rickman was Marvin.
That's right.
And that is just absolutely perfect.
Come
like,
on now.
When I say the casting was perfect, you've got like you've got that's
Sam Rockwell as fucking
Sam
Beeblebrox.
Rockwell as Zafid Beeblebrox, Most Def, surprisingly
Most Def.
killing it as Ford Prefect. It's
that
incredible.
no one saw that coming. That was sick. Yeah, it's
just
true.
Wonderful. And that was an adaptation like with Douglas Adams' actual involvement before he died. Like, it's crazy. But I do think it can be done. And I think I've cited this as something on the show before. If you treat the narrator like they do in A Series of Unfortunate Events, a Netflix show which was it sucked a bit. It was okay.
Yeah, that's a good example of using the narrator in a different way, though.
Like the narrator as just this separate entity that you cut to, I think would be absolutely perfect for that. For that specifically. And then if you just do the rest, good. That's good too. Hey.
Do you think there's anything that you can think of that is unadaptable?
Unadaptable?
To the visual medium?
See, that I'm not totally sure, because like most things that you read, you do, or at least for me, I picture in my mind, even the things that are like abstract, like when we talk about the fall of Hyperion, and there's all this abstract whatever in this like separate universe where all the AIs are living, and there's just some godlike prick going like quats all the time. You're still picturing that in your brain.
True.
No matter how many times somebody says quats, and that's fine. But like, maybe the fall of Hyperion is unadaptable in the sense that I don't want anyone to adapt it.
Yeah, that'd be a hard one.
But like,
I did imagine.
I also don't want anyone to adapt Hyperion. So
second Doctor Strange reference of the episode. I imagined Dormammu as the AI, like giant that was saying quats. That was kind of what I had in my head.
I would say too.
I just pictured Moses from South Park as that big.
Yeah, that's a good call. That's a good call. That's actually more close to what I saw too. I do think there is too something to be said for the different forms of a visual medium. Like, I'm really glad they made, and Travis and I have talked about this, I think, on the show, but really glad Castlevania was animated because it was way better as an animation. And I feel this. Yeah, and I feel the same way.
Hell yeah.
about Dungeon Crawler Carl. I'm terrified they're going to try to like live action it. And then that means Donut is CGI the whole fucking time, as is basically everybody else, because they're all like non-human characters basically. It makes no sense to try to do a story like that live action when you could do it as animation. It would be so much better. You've got the Rick and Morty vibes. Just go with animation. If you want to get fucking real weird, then do animation, because then you can do anything you want.
Or high magic systems, I think looks so far. I mean, maybe they'll master it later, but high magic systems looks so much better in anime, which is why I was so glad with Vox Machina. And Colin, hop in soon, but I do want to set up, just for maybe comedy's sake, context of this question is the person I was arguing with, which some of you who think I'm pretentious, which I am, might think like, oh, Travis falls on the side of like, don't adapt things. It's like, no, I've been arguing with this person this whole time for like, no, Lord of the Rings, Prince Caspian, they actually do the thing well, even though they lose some stuff. And this person also always goes to the BBC versions of like Pride and Prejudice and stuff. And in my opinion, I'm like, I don't care if it's book to book like perfect. If it looks like dog shit, I don't like it as much. I'd rather get the Pride and Prejudice 2000 movie that looks phenomenal and maybe misses some of the story beats than the BBC version that's exactly word for word with the book, but doesn't look as good because it's a visual medium. It has to look good. You know?
Yeah. Colin, what do you think?
Colin.
Yeah.
Well, I have a 4-hour TED talk about it.
Sure.
God, yes.
Let's trim it down to 4 minutes.
Okay. Done. I think that, I mean, I agree completely, basically, with what we've been saying, because they are different things. And I like the point that if something is like an unfilmable adaptation, then animation is the way to go. And the example I have of that is A Scanner Darkly. Which is a crazy movie. And with that one, Keanu Reeves was in that.
Yeah,
crazy movie. And the book by Philip K. Dick, the short, it's basically like a novella, if not less. The story of Scanner Darkly is like about a guy who's like an undercover cop, and he's such a secretive undercover cop that everybody else has to not see his true identity at any time. So they have like costumes that they wear to the office, you know?
Yep.
It's nuts. And A Scanner Darkly used, so it's a crazy story. And like in the film adaptation, they did rotoscoping, which is like one of 3 films that used it at the time. And it creates this crazy animated pattern. So everything is animated, and that like catches the difficulty in how you film some character's perspective of the world where reality and their psychosis combine. And that's really hard to do. And that's what that film did. And I think it did it extremely well. Or like another unfilmable is like A Clockwork Orange. The film is great. The book is great.
Yes.
They're very different in terms of like, because the book is about the main character. And you can film the horrible rapes that this character does, and it's going to hit very differently than like him in his mind of a sick person that we're understanding it through that lens, you know? So there is a huge difficulty in some of the artistic media of capturing what a novel can do versus what a film can do.
That's a great example.
Really tough. And I will say that about Jurassic Park, like I do think they watered down the chaos theory element, which was like the movie goes very much into like you're playing with the Lord God's work and intention. And in the book, Michael Crichton was an agnostic and atheist, and like he very much kept the other direction of the book, which was like you're trying to control nature as if nature is a thing that you understand. And that was your first premise where you failed. And now I'm going to show you as a chaos theorist, like all the aspects in which your project is going to fail because you had a false premise to start with.
Nature finds a way.
Wait.
That's right.
Mhm.
Oh, to that,
Exactly.
I never mentioned Jeremy. The one contention you had about the realism thing that I hated was the seatbelt thing.
Sure.
Like the whole, because
Here it is.
it's foreshadowing. The seatbelt thing is foreshadowing. Like it's intentionally put in the movie. It's not he doesn't understand seatbelts. It's he picks
I
up
mean,
two
real
female
shit
ends.
matters. He fully
Like
does
Raptors,
not.
the Raptors are two female ends, and he can't find the male end, but he finds a way by tying them together. Like they did that on purpose. It's part of the story. It's not a mistake. It's a.
I
purpose.
mean, I'm not saying it was a mistake because they went to the trouble to film it, so I have to assume, like, yeah, this is on purpose. But like on purpose, character-wise, that means when real shit matters, like this.
I don't think it's
this
him not knowing how to function
paleontologist
a seatbelt. I think it's
can't.
him,
He
no, I
can't
think it's
function
him
under
not
stress,
finding a
and then
bucket.
the entire rest of the movie
You've
is like,
been
no,
there.
he actually does fine under stress.
We've
That's fine.
all been there. We've all been there where we pick up both ends and are like,
No,
oh,
we
fuck, where's my
haven't.
end? Well, come on.
For God's sake.
You
I,
haven't,
I have
you
to side
haven't
with-
ridden in enough passenger vans with packed people that take your.
You
fucking
can say
seatbelt.
we've all been there. I fully have not been in a situation where I can't go and just be done with it.
I think this
You
should be
know?
its own podcast episode just about this topic.
I
Get in the
agree,
comments.
but not tonight.
Not-
Get
and
in the
look-
comments.
And look,
Before
I
we,
think there is something to say where, like, the ending of Jurassic Park just kind of ignores that there's an island full of giant frog monsters that decided they actually can mate, and they're like, we did it, we got away. And then, like, motherfucker.
I mean, I think they really
There's
had no
some
choice,
shit
which
to
is
deal
why
with.
in the book they firebomb that shit. But
Good.
we're gonna firebomb this argument right here. I'm gonna do the book equivalent on this episode. It's over. Okay, we're done with it. We're getting rid of all the raptors except for the ideas that maybe wandered off the island on whoever's boat. And you know, that's just why you lock your fucking boats down. Okay, be careful with your boats. Be careful
Lock
what
the
ideas you let and take out of this podcast. It's up to you.
Hide your kids, hide your wives, something like that.
Yeah, there you go, Mike.
Hide your
Hide your kids, hide your wives, lock the boats.
And
You're
along
gonna
with
date
that
yourself with
insight,
that reference.
Micah, along with that insight, can you tell us one more time who you are, what you do, and where people
we
can
gotta
find you?
rate it, Clay.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Yeah, bro, you're just jumping guns all over the place. What the hell, man?
Micah, before you tell us who you are and all that stuff,
Yeah, Micah.
we like to rate our movies and books
Okay.
On a completely arbitrary scale. And that is, how many drinks does it take to fully enjoy Jurassic Park, whether that be alcoholic or not? Colin,
Wait, what's
Well-
it out of? What's the
you get to
let's-
decide.
Don't worry about that.
It doesn't work like
Don't
that,
ask
Micah.
Whatever you
By the
feel.
time we get to you, you will understand.
You'll
Okay.
have a full and deep philosophical understanding of everything we stand for. By
All
the
right,
time
let's
you
get
have to
going.
read it.
Let's
This
get going.
film is like a 10 out of 10, and you don't need anything to enjoy it. It's incredible. But I would definitely have like a beer or two, you know, crack those as soon as I'm ready. You know, like, basically, if there's an iconic scene, I mean, just Goldblum comes into frame, pop it open. You know, watch
Sure.
the first film, maybe only one drink. And then the second time when you convince someone else to watch it with you, then you're just going to town.
Yeah, pop it like it's
Whatever you
Goldblum's
want.
shirt.
Whatever you
Let's
want.
fucking go.
Clay,
I like Colin's advice there. If you want to play on hard mode, you can like drink the way that Nedry, that's the IT guy played by Newman from Seinfeld, consumes junk food and sweets. Just drink along with him. So when he drinks a soda, go ahead and chug a beer with him. Just drink it like it's the soda that he's drinking. And I think you'll have a little bit of a better time there if you want to. And then later in the movie, go ahead and just drink every time Raptor has entirely too much sentience.
okay, Jeremy.
Hold on to your butts.
Hey guys,
There you go,
yes,
Colin.
hold on to your butts, all right? Because like
So much good writing
Okay.
in this. I don't know what Micah was talking about.
Yeah.
I don't know what earlier Micah was talking about. That's for sure.
Lion sack of
Earlier,
shit.
Micah really wasn't thinking about Samuel L. Jackson telling us to hold on to our butts.
He was.
I feel like you're gonna use this
Please.
as blackmail to make it sound like I really just don't like Jurassic Park. I'll take that in context.
Yeah,
Jeremy.
crazy. Now look, you're gonna want to have some early on. If like me, you can't really get past the fact that like John Hammond 1000% deserves to be sued,
And dead.
and like.
Oh yeah.
If you find yourself wondering, like me, how in 10 years Hammond filled a whole theme park with adult dinosaurs, like that doesn't completely defy the law of conservation of mass. Like, how many goats are you importing to make this happen? I don't know. It's fine. It's fine.
So many goats.
So many goats. So you'll want to have a few, and a few of really whatever you want, whether that's Ian Malcolm's mystery flask or like, oh yeah, we never really talked about it, but Dr. Grant at one point literally drinks rain, and that never came up. And I feel like we almost missed an opportunity as a show to talk about that.
That's true.
Yeah.
He does drink fucking rain.
Yeah.
Drinks fucking rain. Anyway, you'll want to have something if you are being sexually awakened by Jeff Goldblum, which, yeah, obviously, every time he's on stage, or on screen, rather, and anytime Ian Malcolm is never too injured or frightened to be sassy, which is obviously whenever he's on screen after shit starts happening,
Sure.
And you'll want to have at least one more to just distract yourself from that. These are not dinosaurs. They are actually just frog monsters. They've been frog monsters the whole time. So I don't know what that comes out to numbers-wise, like 12-ish? That's too many.
Yeah.
It's way too many.
All right.
Enjoy.
I'm going to give you 5 times that you have to drink, and this is going to be insane and stupid, and don't do it or you'll die.
Call the ambulance beforehand.
You're going to drink if this is a rewatch. So one of these, there's 4 for everybody who's new, 5 for most people who are rewatching this. You're going to drink every time there's an iconic quote.
Sure.
Okay? This is either a sip of beer or a sip of hard ale, depending on how hard you want this to be. You're going to drink every time the dinosaurs show up because that's only 15 minutes of the film.
Sure.
You're going to drink every time you think these kids should be dead.
Yeah.
100%.
That'll
You're going to drink every time you think the thought, Grant and Sattler? Bannon? Question.
Right.
You're going to think that. And then you're going to think every time you think, man, Ian Malcolm. Damn.
That's fair.
Good. And by the end of all of that, you're probably going to be pretty wasted. So there you go. Micah.
For me, yeah, it's a 10 out of 10. And I feel like the only time I want you to drink is when Grant can't figure out how to buckle himself in the airplane.
You really need that for sure. Yeah.
Drink as much as you need
Just
to
for you,
suspend your
Jeremy.
disbelief.
Oh,
Thank you.
Yes. Yes.
It means a lot, especially considering you don't drink.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Victory. We've arrived. Micah, one more time. Who are you? What do you do? And where can people find you online?
Yes, I'm a writer, producer, director. I work at Film Beast Studios in Seattle. I run a podcast called Exodus Brothers. And you can find me at micahknapp.com and Instagram and IMDb.
Nice.
That a boy.
Hell yes.
All right, Micah, thank you so much for coming on the show and debating Jurassic Park with us. We will put all those links down in the show notes. Everybody, thank you for tuning in to Fermented Fiction. Please do like, comment, and subscribe. And if you really like the show, go over to our Patreon and check that out to get more from the show, to get exclusive content, to get some merch opportunities. We have some t-shirts on the way. They're going to be really awesome. We do have one designed by the same guy who designed that book I showed you earlier, and he's going to make our Martin Silenus and the Jizz Whalers t-shirt. So that's on the way. It's going to be dope as hell. It's a real deep cut crossover. If you don't understand any
So
of that,
deep.
then that is fine.
You
I think when you see the
watch
art,
our episode about that. So
yeah, we'll
Good luck
direct you to
finding
that too. Thank you so much for being here, Micah. Thanks, brother. It was fun to finally have you on the show.
You too. Thanks. We've been trying for a long time. It was great to meet all of you, and that was a blast. Thanks for having me on.
Hell yeah. We'll do it again sometime. All right, everybody. This has been Fermented Fiction. We will be back next week like we are every week. Like, comment, and subscribe so you know when that is. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
later.
Bye.